To survive, she pretended to be a ruthless adopted daughter, only to end up being the pampered favorite in a family of lunatics. But as soon as she opened her eyes, she was warned to learn the family rules as quickly as possible. If you want to live. The man before her had black hair and black eyes, looking exactly like her favorite character, Hiron. He was the ruler of the northern Bellotto family and had adopted the female lead, Viola. The female lead possessed extraordinary talent and ultimately seized control of Bellotto. Yet she was not happy, for she had lost everything else besides Bellotto. She felt heartbroken for the female lead's fate, wishing she could have given everyone a happy ending. But looking at her own small hands, she thought, have I become Viola in a dream? She knew Hiron adopted her because he instantly saw her potential as a genius assassin, which could also stimulate the growth of his direct descendants. It's just a dream anyway, so I'll do whatever I want. She suddenly called out to the man, smiling sweetly. Are you my father now? Hearing Hiron's confirmation, she thought of the female lead, who eliminated the direct heirs to rise to power but secretly just wanted to be a true daughter. Even if it was just a dream, she wanted to help her realize it. So the girl boldly questioned, I heard the Bellotto family values rationality above all else. Why wasn't I given the authority to choose my father? Taking the initiative startled the man. The butler beside him was displeased, giving her a sharp warning look not to speak out of turn. But she knew that instead of blind obedience, Hiron preferred bold provocations. She put her hands behind her back, speaking like a little adult. Bellotto believes in the survival of the fittest, even encouraging slaughter among siblings. The focus is entirely on rational choices and the order of family interests. Duke, am I right? Hearing this, the man compromised and asked, Will you be my daughter? She agreed without hesitation. Her quick response made the Duke curious about her reason. Because you are handsome. In truth, he was her favorite character. Instantly, the room fell silent. She emphasized again that becoming father and daughter was her choice, not just the older man's. The man nodded helplessly. Then one last request. I won't let you regret bringing me back. But don't treat me as a sacrifice or a stepping stone. I want you to truly love me. She wanted to fulfill Viola's dream. Not just a father in name, but a real father. The air was filled with nothing but the sound of tense heartbeats. She couldn't help but mentally praise herself. To her surprise, the man let out a deep laugh. Interesting. Instantly, a murderous aura enveloped the girl and a tearing pain racked her body. It's just a dream. How can it hurt this much? She seemed to hear the man praise her. You can hold on quite well. Suddenly, the suffocating feeling vanished. She gasped for air. Try your best to survive. I won't kill you with my own hands. She found it strange. Why was this dream so vivid? She was born with a pair of blood-red eyes. Armed with just a glass shard, she had killed the slave traders who kidnapped her. An untrained 7-year-old child seemed like a natural-born murderous demon. Finding it miraculous, the man adopted her. However, her mature thinking didn't resemble a child's at all. It was then the butler realized that although the girl was slightly nervous during the conversation, she still boldly negotiated with the Duke. Only a firm mental strength can overcome fear. The picky butler slightly changed his view of the girl. Meanwhile, the image of the girl pulling his sleeve, asking to be loved, surfaced in the Duke's mind. People of Bellotto never asked for love so frankly, yet she stated it blatantly. The man suddenly became incredibly curious about her chances of surviving in Bellotto, leaving the butler deep in thought. The girl, however, panicked. Why haven't I woken up from this dream? It's been 2 days. Could this be the legendary transmigration? And into the body of Viola, the 10,000-kill lady, the adopted daughter of the iron-blooded Duke. She forced herself to calm down. This was a place where she had to prove her abilities to survive. First, she had to make the lunatics of Bellotto acknowledge her as a family member. Then, she would push the eldest daughter to the position of successor. After all, if not for Viola, the eldest daughter would smoothly become the successor. Once the successor was chosen, the war among siblings would end. She didn't want to lose everything like Viola. What was the point of an ending where no one stayed by her side? In her previous life, she was abandoned by her parents and grew up struggling amidst ridicule and lack of love. She studied hard to become someone everyone envied, only to transmigrate as soon as she opened her eyes. In this life, having a family and a father should be better than the last, right? She quickly adjusted her mindset, recalling the book's contents. She remembered the Duke asking the butler about her survival rate, and the answer was less than 10%. Viola's incredibly low survival rate highlighted how terrifying this place was. Yet, in the study, the butler replied, I think it's less than 40%. At this time, she didn't know she was playing the role of the adopted daughter exceptionally well. Hiron had the ability to see through people's hearts, so he knew Viola desired genuine familial love and held deep affection for him. But he didn't understand where these emotions came from. Little did he know he was her favorite character. So he assigned Jenon as the girl's official butler, which shocked her instantly. Though she felt it was a waste of talent, she couldn't defy the Duke's will. It was the first encounter between a lunatic and someone playing crazy. The man smiled, hiding danger beneath. The young lady opened the door for me herself. Next time, you only need to give an order. The one opening the door should be the butler. She immediately understood that the test had begun. In the book, he was a ruthless man who had killed countless top-tier knights. Initially, he didn't recognize the female lead as a member of Balato, and constantly tested Viola to see if she was fit to be his master. Therefore, she couldn't let this slide. Are you lecturing me right now? Her ruthlessness and sharpness satisfied him, and he bowed his head to apologize. She pressed her advantage, warning that a butler's role was to advise, not to lecture. She knew clearly that to survive in Balato, she must maintain prestige and authority, then turn the people around her into her allies. The purpose of the butlers was to make their masters the successor. Failure meant death, while success brought supreme power. Thus, she had to win his approval. I heard a butler's role is particularly important, so I wanted to see the butler's face for myself. That's why I opened the door personally. Hearing this, the man knelt on one knee with an enchanting smile. This is what I look like. The girl didn't hold back her praise for the man, but simultaneously warned him, I don't care what you say, but I can't stand your attitude. Her powerful, murderous aura startled the man. When she revealed her murderous intent, her pupils would turn red, characteristic of a genius killer. Although her pupils hadn't changed color now, he could still feel a strong sense of oppression, which excited him even more. Unexpectedly, the girl said, I'm going to give you your first order. Despite his surging emotions and shock, he calmly smiled and agreed. Go get a quill and some red clam poison. It was a potent neurotoxin. The man's gaze seemed to pierce through her. She turned around and pointedly said, What role do you play in this house? The role of helping and monitoring the young lady. Then be loyal to your role and do what you must. Upon hearing this, the man obediently stopped asking questions, stating he expected to complete it in 12 minutes. Catching a glimpse of the man leaving the room, she felt lingering fear and wiped the cold sweat pouring from her forehead. The man returned punctually, not a second late, and handed everything over to her. According to the plot, the twisted fifth young master, Vigen, would arrive tomorrow. He had undergone assassination training since birth, growing into an innocent killing machine. But this should be enough, right? She swore to do whatever it took to survive, pretending to be crazy in a family of lunatics, and perfectly taming the top butler as her servant. Unexpectedly, the innocent killing machine came knocking. The girl didn't cower at all. She calmly drank her tea and invited him in. He was the most difficult competitor and a prime candidate for a psychopathic killer. The moment young master Vigen Balato entered, he impatiently declared, Someone like you should never dream of becoming my sister. But having read the book, she understood that his disdain wasn't genuine. He actually desperately wanted a sister. When Viola was adopted, the boy was overjoyed to the point of madness. But his mother told him, A lowly person without Balato blood is not qualified to be your sister. She is merely a sacrifice. This made him believe she wasn't worthy of being his sister. Thus, he was full of drive, eager to show the girl his terrifying side. The two fought fiercely, and their relationship deteriorated from then on. Not wanting to follow the plot, she teased, If I'm not your sister, what am I? Recalling his mother's words, he confidently pointed out, You are a sacrifice. But the girl's indifferent attitude made him doubt his existence. She was supposed to get angry and attack, and after he won, he would be revered as a brother. He frustratingly complained, I insulted you, you're supposed to get mad. So she considerately set down her teacup. Wait for me. This instantly filled Vigen with great anticipation. The next second, a quill brushed past his cheek and pierced straight through the wall. The war between the two was on the verge of breaking out. But he touched his wound and marveled, You throw really well. The girl maintained a wicked smile, but her hands were trembling. I just wanted to scare him, but I accidentally hurt him. After she spoke, he dangerously asked, Is this a warning to me? After saying that, his expression changed again and he laughed out loud. What an interesting sacrifice. You really are like a lunatic. So can you give me a hug? His adorable appearance almost made her lose control. But in Balato, a hug didn't simply mean closeness. It was also used to analyze body types and grasp weaknesses. Seeing him act softly and cute, asking, Can I not? The girl made her move. She had to act like a Balato too. Hugging his sister, he laughed arrogantly. I really like you. I wonder which of us will kill the other first. I'm so curious. Remembering how the boy hunted her day and night in the original story, she swore to pull him over to her side. While they were hugging enthusiastically, a man suddenly interrupted. He smiled and introduced himself as the girl's personal butler. The Duke gave the young lady 10 days. Within these 10 days, please refrain from provoking the young lady. He clearly saw the boy's intention in hugging her. Otherwise, I will report truthfully to the Duke. But couldn't they talk without him holding her? Hearing this, the angry Vision curled his lips and could only helplessly let go. I'm leaving. See you next time, sis. Sacrifice. As soon as he finished speaking, he collapsed to the floor. The world spun as if he had ascended to heaven. The girl calmly ordered, "Send him back." Although the red clam poison had taken effect, he would probably wake up soon. The butler also had to admire her. What a magnificent greeting. The young lady won a total victory this time. Is that why you asked me to find the quill and red clam poison? Questioned, she appeared calm on the surface but was panicking inside. Please don't ask for reasons. If you ask, it's because I've transmigrated and have the script. But the man was relentless. May I ask you a question? Hearing this, her heart pounded wildly. Has he seen through me? Why did you hug young Master Vision? She instantly breathed a sigh of relief. She thought he was going to ask why she prepared in advance. She didn't hide anything. A hug can help grasp the opponent's physical weaknesses. But young Master Vision could also learn her flaws. Hearing this, she smiled and asked back, "Do you think that will become a problem?" This completely shocked the man. For a 7-year-old child from the slums, if she hadn't learned these things, it could only be attributed to natural killer instincts. He sincerely praised, "Your confident appearance is truly beautiful." After speaking, he pulled out a dagger, giving the girl a huge fright. Unexpectedly, he gently pressed against her dress and carefully cut a loose thread from her cuff. Such considerate service was not in the original story, but it didn't end there. I'm going to report to the Duke, but I plan to show you the contents of the report first, to fully demonstrate that I am your person. Once again, a plot not in the original. When she saw the report stating, possesses the instinct, spirit, and ambition of a successor, she was bewildered. Why didn't I know this myself? Did she have the regal aura necessary to become Balato? She was utterly confused again. He did this because he saw the young lady's aptitude and talent. Therefore, I will do my best to make the young lady the next Duke. But she didn't want to be some 10,000 kill lady. Pleading with her sincere, childlike eyes, the man completely misunderstood. Her trusting and agreeing gaze moved him to tears. I will definitely work hard to help you realize your wish. The skewed plot gave her a headache, but she still had to do what needed to be done. She ordered the butler to bring the family relationship chart. Meanwhile, a mother holding a long whip asked, "How does that child look?" Seeing her son's soft evaluation, "Very interesting." She was extremely dissatisfied with his treatment of an enemy. Vision obediently followed up, "Needs to be trampled." "I was wrong. If I make a mistake," he answered mechanically, "I must be punished." "It seems you understand clearly. Then are you prepared to take the whip?" Seeing his mother's palm bleeding from gripping the whip, he obediently turned around and knelt. His weak figure did not soften her heart. The long whip was raised high and fell again and again, and her hands were also worn and bloody. The usually proud and unrestrained boy didn't make a sound, trembling and silently shedding tears. Little Viola was also exhausted, having finally dealt with 2 dangerous individuals. But she still had to continue proving her Bellotto qualifications. The consequence of failure was death. In her bathrobe, she recalled the plot. At this time, the filial Vision was still worried that the specially made whip would scratch his mother's hand. She hurriedly called the butler. "Take me to Vision's room." She planned to get him on her side. No, she had to get everyone on her side. On a night accompanied by stars and the moon, the boy's clothes were soaked in blood, repeatedly and helplessly murmuring, "Because my mother's hands are tired. It's my fault, I'm a bad boy." The murderous brother who sought the throne was actually a pitiful child abused and manipulated by his mother. Ignoring his tightly closed door, she directly ordered the scheming butler to open it. From the crack, the smell of blood made her heart sink. The words in the novel were too pale. Only now did she truly experience Vision's exhaustion and bitterness. A man suddenly appeared. Young Master Vision doesn't want to see anyone. Seeing him, she knew it was the boy's butler. But the young lady must see the young master today. This angered the man so much he puffed up like a pufferfish. "Jenon, I'm warning you, shut your mouth." So the big schemer complained to the little lunatic. "He told me to shut up, what should I do? Can you suppress him?" Therefore, he directly pulled out a dagger. "Although it's a bit difficult, there's nothing I can't do. Do you want to violate the rules of the East Castle?" This abruptly reminded him of the rule. Violence and killing are forbidden in the East Castle. Thinking that if there were no rules, the big lunatic would really stab him. He radiated murderous intent beneath a gentle facade, terrifying her into quietly swallowing hard. "So scary. Better get out of here quickly." Acting as if no one else was there, she passed right beneath the 2 of them. Seeing the master walk away, Jen unsheathed his dagger. The 2 instantly changed their demeanor. flattering each other on their quick wits just now. The man even congratulated him on serving a good master, making the butler very proud. She doesn't need to put in any effort. It's as if she's a natural-born ruler. Combined with her appropriate reprimands and guidance towards me, it's exactly like she grew up in Bellado. She also possesses remarkable insight. When he suggested attacking the unconscious Vision, the girl hit the nail on the head. If we kill him now, Janan, who has no evidence to support his innocence, would be sentenced to death, right? If the butler dies, I'll be in a difficult position. After all, you are indispensable to Viola Bellato. She completely integrated herself into Bellato, to the extent that she unconsciously said her full name out of reader habit. Entering the room, she finally found the boy covered in scars and nervously approached. She slumped into a chair. You've lost so much blood. Vision calmly retorted, I only bled a little today. The whip Isabella made must hurt a lot to be hit with, right? The boy softly admitted, but Mom must be in a lot of pain too. Wasn't this your mom's own choice? Hearing this, he gripped his clothes tightly, still deceiving himself. That's also because I made a mistake. He smiled through tears. I'm a bad person. Vision instantly made her heart ache with pity. Are these words that should come from a child's mouth? This isn't the kind of family I wanted. The whole family consists of lunatics competing for power on the same stage, while she hides her identity and pretends to be crazy to spoil him. Seeing the sister ask him to expose his back, the boy reminded her, stabbing me in the East Castle would be a major crime. She disdained taking advantage of someone in danger. Anyway, one day I'll make you kneel at my feet like a dog. This instantly filled him with immense anticipation. But seeing a down-and-out brother wouldn't be very interesting. Hearing this, the boy strongly resonated and obediently turned around. Clearly seeing the crisscrossing whip scars on his back, Viola felt a pang in her heart. He is only an 8-year-old child. She took out the things she prepared. The boy was innocent and fearless. What is it? A knife, poison, or acid? The next second, he was in so much pain he couldn't speak, about to cry out and trying to dodge, but the girl stopped him. It's not poison, it's an ointment. Is it a special poison? Therefore, she maintained her ruthless persona. Get well quickly so I can have the pleasure of killing you. Actually, she hoped he would no longer get hurt. She unexpectedly heard the boy say, so strange. Just as she thought her acting was too poor, the boy poked his chest and said, I feel so strange, Viola. It throbs with pain right here. After saying that, tears fell like broken pearls. He confusedly caught the crystal-clear teardrops. Why am I crying when I'm clearly smiling? Did you poison me? When did you do it? You're amazing. He suddenly noticed Viola's expression. Why are your eyes red too? Are you poisoned too? She quickly adjusted her emotions and bantered. A young master of Bellado can actually cry? Shouldn't I cry if I'm sad? But if his mother didn't beat him, he wouldn't be sad. Therefore, he deceived himself. But I made a mistake. Brother, do you want me to tell you the real reason you're sad? It's because you've suffered unreasonable oppression in the East Castle. The East Castle rules state that all children under the age of 10 will be protected, and anyone who violates the rules will die. This caused him to later have to pursue the crime of violating the rules. The woman, however, was very gratified. Vision can only become a true monarch by killing his mother with his own hands. You've grown up, baby. Mom is very happy. She used her own life to force her son to abandon his kindness and become a demon. After her death, he completely turned into a homicidal maniac. Vision also knew his mother was wrong. But she is my mother. To stop him from becoming a homicidal maniac, the girl ruthlessly reminded him, if left unchecked, he will eventually eliminate his mother, because this is the rule of the East Castle. He didn't answer, but brought up another matter. Mom gave me a task. He abruptly turned around, smiling innocently and brightly. Do you want to play with me? I heard it's very interesting. His adorable appearance made her really want to pet him, and she held back her impulse and accepted his invitation. For the first practical training, the butler thoughtfully prepared a highly toxic short sword. But be careful when using it. If it hits you, the young lady will also go to heaven. The girl was so scared she twitched but feigned disdain. It's just a game. I don't want to use poison. He obediently wiped the blade clean and smilingly wished the young lady success in her task. He would go along but couldn't help directly. And their game was to encircle and suppress a small-scale group of mountain bandits. She knew the novel's male lead would debut in this mission. Finally going to go see the novel's male lead. On the way to suppress the bandits, he casually complained, riding in a carriage isn't as good as riding a horse. Then ride a horse yourself. Hearing this, he instantly sprang up. Why do you call me you? Viola is 7, I'm Vision, and I'm 8. You should call me brother. His childish appearance made her sigh. Sure enough, he's just a child. The next second, she was hit with a blow. And I've killed 10 more people than you. I'll let you see how handsome I look later. A plan suddenly came to mind. This training was too dangerous for her, a transmigrator. Since the game was proposed by my brother, then you figure it out first. If you feel too tired, I'll help you then. Actually, she was tricking her brother into doing the work so she could slack off and survive. She successfully roused Vision's fighting spirit. Just wait and see, I'll handle everything. Arriving in front of the mountain stronghold, the group walked up the mountain. Unexpectedly, the periphery was unusually quiet. Vision absent-mindedly played with his lethal weapon, wondering why the sentry posts were empty. When he smelled blood, he immediately got excited. But they found the dug-up corpse of a child. Seeing this, she knew the male lead had arrived. In the book, the male lead lived with his father and sister, relying on excellent hunting skills to survive. His dream was to become an excellent hunter and take his sister to the temple for treatment. Unexpectedly, his dream was shattered that day. Returning home from hunting, he found his father lying in a pool of blood, and his sister was gone. Enduring his grief, he first went to find his sister, who might be alive. Following the tracks left behind, he made his way to the bandits' headquarters. But he was accidentally discovered by the thieves and witnessed their evil deeds with his own eyes. Bypassing her brother, she began to work hard, discovering traces of an open door on the ground. Coupled with the corpse that was dug up just now, she guessed someone had broken in first. While she was in inner turmoil, the male lead, who had come to find his sister, shot the sentry and advanced into the stronghold. The smell of blood Vision detected proved that the battle had already begun. Therefore, she acted immediately. We can't let them take the initiative. The butlers, however, were sighing at the young lady's wisdom. After the man went to chase Vision, he was puzzled. Is the young lady not going over? But she noticed a child's footprint. To come knocking regardless of everything, it must be for revenge. What's more interesting is that he's not dead yet. Judging from the commotion inside, he hasn't succeeded in taking his revenge either. Her keen insight made the butler appreciate her immensely, swearing again to make her the successor. She felt a chill down her spine. Following the traces, she opened a door and successfully found the person. The male lead was indeed here, but the moment she got a clear look, she was shocked. Why is this person here? The boy's threat suddenly drew near. Pulling up his pant leg, the triangular black mole was exactly the same as her first love's. The two grew up together in an orphanage. He was gentle and handsome, like her light. But just when she planned to confess her feelings, she received news of his death. But how could he be here? Their eyes met, and she felt a dizzying palpitation. Those eyes seemed to be approaching her. The boy, however, mistook her for a bandit. The girl, while she was distracted, pressed a weapon against her neck. Take me to see the boss, or I'll kill her. The butler grew solemn. Young lady, how could such a mistake happen? Are you pointing a knife at me? The boiling killing intent startled the boy, and he instantly understood. Now is the time to show me your abilities. Sure enough, the girl knocked him to the ground with a single hand chop. Forcefully stepping on his back, she pressed the dagger against the boy's cheek, her eyes frantic. What would happen if I move it a little to the side? The uncontrollable body made her suspect that Viola's spirit had awakened. Hoping the male lead could suppress Viola, he, having lost everything, accepted his fate, just like she had back then. She didn't want the person with her first love's face to harbor such thought. Just like my brother supported me, this time it's my turn to be by your side. Realizing she could control her body, she saw a group of people approaching. The butler admired this perfect battle plan, intentionally exposing a flaw to take down the opponent. But she knew it wasn't her, but the real Viola. Could it be a side effect of transmigration? Fortunately, she regained control of her body before stabbing Tuant. I like this guy very much. I'm going to make him my toy. The butler thoughtfully placed a collar on him. Show me first. Hearing this, looking at the surging magic, the shackles also emitted dots of blue light. The next second, the boy seemed to be hoisted up by iron chains, making the butler extremely curious about what the young lady would do. Because he is a dog that bites, he should be disciplined first, right? The scheming butler instantly understood and backed away. As soon as the man left, she felt guilty. What should I do? I brought him back to save him, but Balato's discipline means that. But with a face identical to Hanjun, I can't bring myself to do it. At that moment, the boy slowly woke up, finding his hands and feet restrained and his mouth bound. The murderous aura all over her made him untie her, making her deeply realize that this person was not her first love. She ruthlessly recounted the boy's failure. You rashly broke into the stronghold, only killed 2 people, and wanted to give up everything just because you got hurt? But how could a noble young lady know the suffering of commoners? Unexpectedly, the girl thought, I've thought that way too. He's an orphan, and although he was adopted, to you who lost your family in an instant, I can empathize better than anyone. So I will stay by your side. And I am the one who avenged you and saved your life. You should know how to repay me, right? Seeing the boy nod, she was satisfied. Very good. This way he will obediently listen to me. She reached out her hand to the boy. Stay by my side. I hope you can grow up excellently as my person. In the cruel competition for succession, she had to cultivate her own forces. Although the boy couldn't understand, he knew this was his last chance for revenge. He calmly asked, "Then will I outwardly be your dog?" His smart realization satisfied her immensely, because only toys and dogs were the only legitimate statuses to stay in Balato without being restrained and monitored. And he had attacked her. According to Balato's style of doing things, a dog that bites its master cannot be forgiven and needs to be disciplined. Although the other party's words were harsh, her eyes inexplicably made the boy feel warm, so he could sense her ruthlessness wasn't genuine. Remembering that in the original story, his inability to bury his father in time became a future regret for the male lead, Viola proposed to accompany him to bury his father afterward. This instantly moved the boy to tears. He proactively got up and cooperated. "I'm prepared, hit me as much as you want." She held the long whip and said, "I will do that, so you have to scream nicely too." The long whip was raised and fell. Seeing the boy trembling in pain, she didn't feel good either. But the butler must be monitoring all this. To avoid suspicion, she had to firmly keep going. The demon brother suddenly appeared, smiling innocently. "Are you playing with your toy?" After speaking, he was curious about what the toy looked like. But what he cared about more was, "Will you apply ointment to him too?" The question left Viola bewildered. "It's best not to apply medicine to him, otherwise I will kill him." Thus the girl understood even less. She could only put on the airs of an older brother, because it was her brother who said, "Anyway, I will definitely kill him." Failing to notice her brother's jealousy, she reasoned, "If brother kills my toy, it's infringing on my property." This angered Vision, puffing up his cheeks. Hearing his sister ask for a reasonable excuse, his ears instantly turned red and he shyly said, "Because I was the first, so you're not allowed to apply medicine to anyone but me." This stunned her. The straight shooter completely missed his tsundere point. She said ruthlessly, "If you continue being unreasonable like this, I won't apply ointment to you anymore." Vision had no choice but to be manipulated. "Apply it, fine, I'll let you apply it. But just you wait until I'm 10, I will really kill." But after going out, he wavered again. "Do I really have to kill her? As a Balato, I really have to do that. And Mom told me so too. But I don't want to kill Viola." The top butler, who seemed gentle and enchanting, was actually an eccentric and wildly psychotic maniac inside. Seeing the boy tortured to a bloody pulp, he instead curled his lips into a smile. Feeling it wasn't enough, he actually pointed his knife at him. "If the young lady I serve weren't so magnanimous, I would definitely chop off his neck." The tangible murderous aura startled the girl. The magnanimity in his lines was something only an absolute entity like Chiron was fit to possess. The subtext was that her magnanimity was foolish and cowardly. Instantly understanding that the other party was testing her, her eyes turned sharp. "Jinon, come with me." The two went to an empty corridor, and she directly slapped him hard. "You can test my qualifications as a Balato, but don't make it too obvious because it pisses me off." In her heart, however, she felt awkward, thinking she had hit him too hard. The butler obediently apologized, willing to offer his arm as an apology. Seeing the girl unwilling to accept, "Then can I entrust my life to you?" His eyes were sincere and crazy. She could only put up a fierce front. "Then wouldn't you be unable to work for me? Next time, think carefully before speaking." The self-control and rationality she possessed at the age of 7 made the butler look at her in a new light. If he hadn't instantly used magic to protect himself, the bones in his face would have shattered. Last time, she also directly broke the magical protection on Vigian, leaving a scar on the young master's face. The other party inherently possesses the talent to control magic, which is truly surprising. But did the young lady bring me here to protect my prestige in front of the toy? That's right, after all. You are my only confidant. Hearing this behavior that did not conform to Balato inexplicably made his heart flutter. Jenon began to sincerely hope that the young lady could rule Balato. This instantly scared her silly. Does a slap have this kind of effect? Sure enough, everyone here is not quite normal. A few days later, she fulfilled her promise and helped the boy bury his father together. In her capacity as the master, she provided him with a room, food, and clothing, smoothly making him her loyal dog. But she also found that prolonged eye contact and physical touch would bring out the real Viola. She planned to experiment on how to avoid it later, hearing the butler report that Vigen had just been taught a lesson again. But when she went to her brother's room again, she was abruptly shocked. Her brother had fallen weakly at his mother's feet. You actually found your way here. Vigen is waiting for you." And the other party was her brother's mother, Isabella, second only to Duke Chiron in power and prestige, having a political marriage with his father. She politely curtsied, "Hello, Duchess Isabella." Recognizing me right away shows you've studied hard. Yes, after all, this is a fiercely competitive battlefield. The struggle between the two was on the verge of breaking out. Facing the vicious mother mocking her origin, the girl didn't panic and directly confronted her. Poverty can be noble, and wealth can be shallow, but no matter how poor, at least one wouldn't turn their own son into this state. Therefore, the woman appeared calm on the surface, but her tone was very dangerous. Outsiders have no right to gossip about the way a mother loves her son, do they? Unexpectedly, the girl didn't back down but advanced, approaching her brother. How can I be an outsider? We've become brother and sister. Looking at the marks on Vigen's neck, the mother guessed that the mother used poison this time. Hearing the other party warn her not to cross the line, the girl abruptly stood up. All children under 10 in the East Castle are protected. As the mistress, you violated the rules. The other party, however, was unrepentant. The Bellotto name is so heavy, I'm just strictly teaching my son not to let his guard down. Seeing she couldn't be reasoned with, the girl directly asked the butler to record it with magic. The next second, she was grabbed by the neck by the woman with a speed that was shocking. The other party threatened the butler to stop, but the girl smiled. It seems you also know this is wrong behavior to try so desperately to stop it. The butler bled profusely. The vicious mother's goal was also achieved, so she gave up recording. Only then did the woman let go. Viola's performance was outstanding. It seemed this welcome banquet would be worth watching. However, her eyes were sharp, not panicking at all. Thank you for welcoming me in advance. But what can be done? The fact of your wrong behavior is already known to Vigen. Her son woke up and the woman turned and left. Only then did the girl carefully apply medicine to him. She understood that what the mother gave was not love but obsession and abuse. Hearing her brother cry out in pain, she mocked, "Weren't you quite capable of enduring the whip?" Her brother wasn't angry, but instead said, "Sure enough, the person who defeats you should be me. You can't be killed by anyone else. The person who kills Viola can only be me." His words clearly showed a desire to protect her, but unexpectedly the girl suddenly said, "Lie down, I'll coax you to sleep." This was because she knew Vigen suffered from insomnia. This made the boy incredibly curious about how she would coax him. Sleeping pills? Nerve anesthetic? This drew a faint sigh from him. "You lie down first." He stared at Viola expectantly, only to find that her hands were very small. "So thin and small, won't you be coveted by others?" Failing to notice his little thoughts, the girl recalled the coaxing method in the book, approached her brother with a dangerous look in her eyes. "Don't ever relax, because then I'll want to get rid of you." Sure enough, Vigen immediately became drowsy. She imitated his mother and grabbed his neck. "A son who will die if he falls asleep." The familiar method made him unable to resist the drowsiness, and he slowly fell asleep while tense. And he had been trained like this by his mother since he was a child. He had to hold on until he couldn't anymore before he could fall asleep. When the other party didn't come knocking at night, Vigen was also too scared to sleep, developing severe insomnia. Seeing him fall asleep, just as she was about to leave, she was grabbed by her small hand. "Don't go. Please stay by my side. I, Vigen, don't want to be alone. I can't even find peace in my dreams." She tenderly wiped away his tears. "Don't cry." Under the night sky, the two snuggled together and fell asleep. But she woke up again to waves of calling. It turned out the butler had to report to the Duke tomorrow and could only bear the pain to wake her up. I saw the young lady's true face. This instantly scared her awake, clearly revealing a thirst for blood, yet pretending to be gentle and also cleverly showing fear. "But can you tell me the reason for doing this?" Seeing her cover was still intact, she became drowsy again and fell asleep with a thump. This made the butler feel helpless, yet doting, gently brushing aside the stray hairs on her face. He had to admit the way she looked when asleep was very cute. People who are proficient in magic always can't control their sleepiness. This must be a test for me. I must say you're overthinking it. The next day, the Duke came out of the bath. The butler immediately dressed him, complaining, if Madame Lair were here, she would be unhappy. Madame often told him that the Duke would definitely come out like this after taking a bath, worrying that you would get a stomachache. And Lair was the only person he had loved in his life. Even with magical protection, she would worry about him getting sick and having a stomachache. Every time he would tease, "Taking care of my body is your mission." But she ultimately passed away mercilessly. Hearing the butler say Jenon was waiting outside to report, he gathered his thoughts and let the person in. Learning from the report that Madame Isabella was actually guarding against Viola, he instantly became interested in the girl. Since Madame Lair's death, the Duke had suppressed his emotions and devoted himself entirely to work. Seeing the other party's long-lost smile, the butler was also gratified. The butler took the opportunity to promote his master. "If you see her in person, you definitely won't regret it." Hearing this, Hiran was moved and agreed, making the butler bloom with joy. "Doing this should earn me points with the young lady, right?" As he was leaving, he boldly added, "As myself, not as Butler Jenin, something I really want to say. Actually, Lady Viola is very cute." The two had the same speechless expression. The Duke evaluated. What unnecessary appreciation. The butler thought to himself, what an unnecessary virtue. For Bellado, being cute was not important at all. Upon returning, the butler brought a currently popular dress. "You'll definitely look very cute wearing this." But she mistakenly thought it was another test. After all, this wasn't a family where you could gain a foothold by being cute. So she chose a dress convenient for movement and followed the butler outside. She really couldn't understand what he wanted to do. But the location was a gourmet shop, and such a date was absolutely impossible to refuse. Eating her beloved desserts, the butler performed fancy tea pouring. Life was so beautiful, but why was the shop eerily quiet? The next second, she froze in place. Why would Duke Chiron be here? Seeing the Duke, she originally wanted to stand up and greet him. But desire triumphed over reason, and she left Chiron aside to eat her egg tart. Coming back to her senses, she saw the crowd filled with indignation. She awkwardly grasped her disobedient hands and glared at the culprit beside her. "And you called this a date? I was tricked, full of resentment." The Duke raised his hand, and the surroundings instantly went quiet. And it would be even more awkward for her to greet him now, so she could only bite the bullet and pretend to be calm. Getting a clear look at the Duke's godlike appearance, she suddenly understood why there was a book called 101 Ways to Make Chiron's Heart Flutter. Through the paternity registration, they had officially become father and daughter. But Chiron didn't like docile children, so she haughtily closed the documents. "Should I express my gratitude?" "Shouldn't you?" Amidst the childish argument, she was again attracted by the aroma, unconsciously picking up an egg tart and opening her mouth wide. Her cute appearance made the Duke stare at her seriously. Finishing one, she suddenly snapped awake, and could only reluctantly share one to ease the awkwardness. Seeing this, the man was puzzled. "Reluctant, so why give it to me? Aren't you my dad?" A strange warmth flowed through his body as he raised his hand to wipe the cream from the girl's lips. Saying one thing but meaning another, he sarcastically remarked, "Wow, this is the first time I've seen a Bellato with food stuck to their mouth." Since everyone in the East Castle would place their right hand on their chest and bow their heads in respect when seeing him, he wondered why she didn't do that. Emboldened after eating the egg tart, she said, "Is that what Dad wants?" "If Dad hopes so, I will do it too. If you don't like it, then I won't do it." These words were very similar to what Madame Flair used to say. But the man mistakenly thought it was a considerate mask she deliberately wore, ruthlessly reprimanding, "A Bellato must have the demeanor of a Bellato." This caused her to put down her teacup with a thud. "Asking you to be my real dad? That sentence was not a joke. So please cherish me properly." Her fearless seriousness took him aback, but he stopped the butler's reprimand, leaving a sentence. "See you at the welcome banquet." As soon as the Duke left, she burst into tears. The one-sided pouring out of emotions method should be effective. She knew in her heart that the Duke had no resistance to cute things. But she wasn't associated with cuteness, so she could only use an emotional approach as a substitute. Sitting on the way back to the mansion, thinking of the other party's soft little face, he wondered, little kids all get stuff on their mouths, so that's why Jenon thinks she's cute. His face carried a somewhat doting tone. "She's actually a kid who opposes me and plays tricks. A bit interesting." This made the butler exclaim that the Duke was being strange. Exhausted after returning home, the butler stuck close by her side. Remembering that hadn't been confirmed yet, she ordered him to call the original male lead, observing the boy's physical advantages and taking the opportunity to test what kind of contact would bring out the real Viola. This scared the pure boy into blushing. While describing his physical features, she groped him all over, discovering that it was safe as long as they didn't hug. The boy, however, strangely found, "It seems like I've seen Master somewhere. This is impossible," recalling what the male lead's teacher said in the book. The other party's body was naturally born for practicing swordsmanship. "So you should go practice swordsmanship." She unlocked the magical shackles binding him. "I don't need a hound that doesn't even know what its own teeth are. Learn the sword for me. I will introduce you to an excellent swordsmanship teacher." After locking eyes for 5 seconds, she indeed began to feel dizzy, but abruptly noticed the boy's burning hot face. While she was puzzled, the loyal dog spoke up. Master, although it's very rude, but perhaps female members of noble families are also handy at touching a man's body." Hearing this, the girl burst out laughing. Mentally, she was already 21 years old. How could she see a child as a man? She could only cover it up by patting his head. "You are a dog." Just as she returned to her room, the butler brought dinner and teased, "The feed is here, Mr. Toy Dog." But she heard the boy ask, "Do you know what dogs kept by noble families are called now?" Learning it was pet dogs, he immediately made it his dream, studying swordsmanship hard. Would he become his benefactor's pet dog? That way he would be patted on the head again. One or two of them perfectly convinced themselves, while she inexplicably felt a chill. The next day, she came to the annex to find a swordsmanship teacher for P1&P2. Most of the people here had extraordinary abilities, and the male leads teacher, Hickson, was once Hiram's comrade in arms. He could be called a hero of his generation, but now he was just a drunkard. But a dog learning swordsmanship from a drunkard wouldn't attract anyone's attention. Not only could it allow the male lead to grow quickly, but she could also take the opportunity to turn the other party into her person. As soon as she arrived, she saw the drunkard who had given up on himself. Viola unceremoniously shouted, "Mister, if you act like this, will your dead daughter come back?" Seeing him fiercely trying to drive her away. "Isn't your daughter already dead?" She successfully provoked the man's anger. But he softened again and casually let go. "Do you want me to tell you who killed your daughter?" "I saw everything." Hearing this, he instantly used magic to dispel his drunkenness. In the dirty sewer, a girl with red hair and freckles on her face, wearing cross earrings, firmly believed until her death that her dad would come save her, incredibly proud that her dad was Hickson. She saw it all with her own eyes in the novel. There were at least 2 or more criminals who kidnapped your family. While searching for your kidnapped daughter, your wife was also killed. It's like it was carefully planned. Is this a coincidence? Think about it carefully. He was too heartbroken at the time and didn't think about it carefully at all. Only after being told today did he react. And he also saw that the other party was Hiron's newly adopted daughter. But he didn't believe it. The girl simply told him the information. "What do you want?" Hearing this, she curled her lips into a smile. "Actually, I keep a dog. A big guy who bites too. Mister, help me tame him." Icewood Duke actually awakened into a daughter-doting father. The adopted daughter, playing crazy, became depressed. He called her to eat again. But what did it mean to neither speak nor move? In principle, the Duke would not meet privately with successor candidates. Otherwise, there would be suspicion of backing them. Unexpectedly, the other party's first words were, "Are you actually letting Hickson stay by your side? Did you say hold my hand to him?" His jealousy was sourer than a lemon, just because his friend ended a meeting with his adopted daughter. So he ran over to snatch his daughter back. "Anyway, you're not interested in the identity of a father, but I want to accept her with sincerity." Hearing this, he stubbornly said, "Suit yourself." But after the person left, he forcefully snapped countless quills, leaving the butler completely bewildered again. And Viola thought it was a test, so she could only answer in the Bellotto style. "An idealist having sweet dreams, isn't it very convenient to utilize him? And just turn him into my person." But the Duke was not satisfied. He cared more about the 2 holding hands at the end, intimidating her with a cold face. "Don't casually reach your hand out, because if you're not careful, it might disappear." After threatening her, he prepared to serve the meal, specially presenting her with dessert. Seeing his daughter cutely exclaim again, the man stared intently once more. This put the girl under immense pressure. "Dad, can you not stare at me when I'm eating delicious food? Isn't it rude to stare during a meal?" The words spoken were exactly the same as his lover's again. He didn't forget to be sharp-tongued. "Wait until everything you enjoy comes from me. This degree of rudeness should be acceptable, right?" The girl wasn't going to spoil him. "I wasn't brought back voluntarily. Dad insisted on bringing me back. How can you use this to show off?" Her words overlapped with the shadow of his lover again. He magnanimously admitted his mistake, but found the other party also staring fixedly at him. The girl wasn't intimidated at all. It was Dad who was rude first. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, that is Bellotto. She could also conveniently admire Hiron's handsome looks. "Are you advocating for justifiable defense?" "Yes, it's just justifiable epidemic prevention." The mispronunciation made him unable to resist correcting her, and the 2 started a childish argument over whether it was defense or epidemic prevention. The angry girl was furious. She was already 20 and still being mocked for her pronunciation, shouting, "Justifiable epidemic prevention!" Her murderous intent inadvertently spilled out. This made the man chuckle. "Not only are you impolite and have poor pronunciation, even your murderous intent has dispersed." This scared the girl into instantly withdrawing her killing intent. Seeing her control it freely and switch different masks at will, the man was very satisfied. "It would be even more perfect if you got rid of the cute attribute." Unexpectedly seeing her with food stuck to her lips again, he verbally told the butler to teach her etiquette properly. Afterwards, her cute appearance lingered in his mind. The next day, he took the male lead to learn swordsmanship from Hickson. The indifferent eyes, when the other party was serious, seemed to make the man see Hiron's shadow. After leaving the master and disciple to train, she unexpectedly ran into a lunatic upon returning to the mansion. "Are you the newly arrived 6th young lady?" A woman with pink hair and a red suit. One look and you knew she was one of Hiron's confidants. Sevan was adept at making masks and manipulating puppets. Hearing the girl accurately call out his name, the woman was very surprised. Did the Duke introduce me? But he's not that meticulous of a man. Unexpectedly, the girl directly said, "Since that's the case, why do you still like him?" After brief astonishment, she calmed down. "Isn't this gentleman very handsome?" That's right. The book recorded the other party was infatuated with Hiron. After being warned not to cross the line, the woman was so happy she almost fainted. Isn't being killed by the Duke also very fascinating? Although perverted, her abilities were very strong. Seeing the girl seem to have studied, she suddenly asked curiously, "Then what does the sixth young lady think of me?" "Everyone thinks I'm disgusting." "Oh, indeed disgusting. Because you are a pervert with problems in certain areas." After all, isn't teasing a married man a disgusting thing? Even if it's a political marriage, you interfering is abnormal. But she is indeed a character who continuously works hard to become a useful person to the Duke. If she were truly unreliable, father wouldn't have spared her life. Overall, I think you are a useful person, and I hope you can be useful to me too. Thinking of everyone's unanimous verbal abuse, the girl's pertinent words made her inner self come alive again. Someone actually recognized me in this way. She hurriedly stood up and requested, "Can I do the young lady's makeup for tomorrow's welcome banquet? I will make the young lady the most dazzling existence." Arrogance and nobility with a trace of a wild beast's cruelty, mimicking a deadly ruler with poisonous stingers, more eye-catching than anyone else. The girl was dumbfounded watching this. Is this the inspiration of a psychopathic artist? But one thing was clear, rejecting it would cause a big problem. She could only bite the bullet and smile. "I'm looking forward to it." While agonizing over the banquet where all the lunatics would gather, a hand patted her shoulder. Instinct faster than the brain, she directly drew her knife and attacked the newcomer. The dangerous stimulus excited her brother. "Oh, it's a knife!" She originally thought Vigin would fight back, but he lifted his pant leg. "I'm hurt here. It hurts a lot. Apply ointment for me." "You clearly said it wouldn't hurt even if you were stabbed. Why come to her for this little scratch? Have the butler apply it for you." Unexpectedly, the other party directly gave her the ointment. The meaning was obvious. She had spoiled her brother. So she proposed that he must accept one condition from her. Hearing this, Vigin refused, and 2 seconds later compromised softly. "What do I have to do?" "Help me realize a wish in the future." Although the boy was surprised, he still agreed under the temptation of applying medicine. "Correct. Viola, I envy you so much I've never even had a welcome banquet." Hearing this, the girl fell silent. A welcome banquet was not a true welcome, but an occasion to evaluate and test her, with no shortage of murderous probing. Seeing her brother depressed, she comforted him. "Come play with me next time." He instantly resurrected with full health. "Then see you tomorrow." And she also began to feel nervous about tomorrow's arrival. As a result, the butler woke her up at 4 o'clock the next day. Annoyed, she washed the magic on her hand toward the noisy sound source, startling the butler. "Next time, shift 3 degrees to the left, and the success rate of killing will increase by 10%. He thoughtfully helped the groggy girl up. When she woke up again, she saw Seven holding sharp scissors. "Young lady, I almost died 3 times." Hearing this, she knew her body had moved recklessly again. She abruptly saw her dressed-up self. Delicate and charming, beautiful yet with a trace of sharpness, a pair of large eyes as cute as purple grapes. Was she really that pretty? "Lady Viola, let me take you to the protagonist's position today. You will definitely be more dazzling than anyone else today. Please shine to your heart's content." When stepping into the venue, a voice called out, "Bellato's sixth young lady, Miss Viola, enters," attracting all attention. She silently approached the battlefield step by step, the surroundings quiet except for her footsteps. Abruptly, she raised her hand and swung her knife, cutting the thin thread invisible to the naked eye, holding the knife and glaring at the butler who did it intentionally. This was the first test. In the book, Viola killed him without mercy. Knowing the original work, she targeted the person controlling the butler. She stepped on the other party's head, her killing intent boiling. This kind of joke is really boring, 7 marks. Seeing the woman shivering and apologizing. "If you feel sorry, do you want to go die?" Hearing this, she pointed at the butler's fatal wound. "How about using him instead?" A voice interrupted her thoughts. "Viola, come sit down." She originally wanted to go up and curtsy, but praised in her heart, "The other party is also very handsome today." As soon as she sat down, she gathered all the attention, and the overwhelming sense of oppression made her tremble inside. She forced herself to pretend she hadn't seen it, only focusing on Heron and Isabella. They dared to strike before the mother's test. "Since father brought us here on his own, it must be the Duchess who will test me." "What are you going to test me on?" But the Duchess only had 2 questions. First, why didn't she pierce their hearts just now? Hearing this, she casually replied, "Is that a question?" Her domineering answer stunned the other competitors and deeply angered the Duchess. Are you looking down on me? Your question is too obvious, making me wonder if it's merely a question. Although I have no intention of disrespecting you, if I caused a misunderstanding, I apologize. Arrogant through and through, an eerie silence fell over the room. The butler was secretly satisfied, deliberately saying to the Duchess, she doesn't care about her siblings at all. That effortless demeanor is truly worthy of the young lady. The girl, however, was terrified she had messed up. After all, the real test had just begun. Seeing her mother fixated on why she didn't kill them, she smiled instead of panicking. Only family members and butlers serving the direct line can attend the welcome banquet. Servan and the guards are neither, which means they are expendable puppets. But how could they act on their own? They were just executing the parents' orders, so I didn't kill them. Are you satisfied with my explanation, Mother? Her ability to figure everything out so quickly startled the woman. Unexpectedly, Heron praised her. Very smart. All the heirs couldn't believe it. After all, he had only ever praised the eldest daughter. Seeing that the Duke acknowledged her, the Duchess had to drop her next question. But the girl didn't intend to end the test there. The second question was obvious. Why did you dare to wield a weapon in front of me and the Duke? Being seen through brought a wave of panic. They realized the girl was a dangerous figure. The Duke called a stop at the right moment, looking at her with a complex expression. She had actually outsmarted Isabella. She was a praiseworthy Bella too. Thinking of the girl's adorable appearance and her inexplicable affection for him, the man's mood instantly lifted. Realizing she also felt protective of him, put him in a great mood, and he ordered someone to bring the welcome gifts. When the butler appeared holding colorful vials, she suddenly remembered the Duke's final test. These were deadly poisons. The mother gloated, a special gift prepared for our youngest daughter? It's very good for your health. In the book, she deliberately knocked over the potion and declared she was stronger than her father, vowing to snap his neck. But now she was going to make them even happier. She casually picked a poison, her eyes calm yet filled with madness. She knew what they expected of her from the moment she walked in. As she spoke, she threw the vial to the ground. Instantly, the carpet sizzled as it corroded, and a few drops of venom splashed onto her leg. What should I do if you want me to die? The butler had said that she was the only Bella to her age. The woman didn't hold back her praise. You have a good butler. Meanwhile, he had carefully opened an ointment and applied it to the young lady's injured leg. In a flash, she wildly picked up another one. Will this one do? She provoked them with a hidden meaning. I smell something I miss, as if there's a special story behind it. Hearing this, the Duke froze. This potion was made by Heron's true love. She wanted to be with him forever and gave him the poison named Viola, saying, "Go to a warm place with me." Heron truly wanted to die with her but was stopped by the butler. What a family without a single normal person, even naming their adopted daughter after a poison. But no one knew she had a special constitution. Seeing the girl open it, the Duke panicked. What are you doing? I want to try it. The butler warned, this is the most toxic of the 5. I know, but there's a woman calling me. Heron couldn't sit still anymore. What did you hear? But she didn't hear it. She saw it. Saw the longing for someone, a love more severe than death. This was her sympathetic resonance with her favorite character. She said lightly, then I'll drink it, and downed it under everyone's gaze. She was terrified inside but trusted the setting. Instantly, her blood boiled. Her pupils turned red and a bloodthirsty desire emerged. The clearly activated murderous instinct startled her, but her rationality controlled the urge to kill. Her excellence, insight, and immense self-control showed no attempt to hide her ambition to rule. Such a formidable opponent excited the woman, and the Duke also acknowledged her as a perfect Bella too. But why did the girl's reckless action displease him? She arrogantly shook the empty vial, smiling disdainfully. I drank it all. In reality, she was frantically thanking the setting. The poison sharing her name had no effect on her. Being able to finish it was all thanks to imagining she was drinking juice. If the woman knew, she would be furious. Can we eat now? The Duke agreed with a cold face. Having survived the suffocating atmosphere of the quiet dinner, she was bubbling with joy inside. Her father seemed very satisfied with her, as she didn't even glance at things she didn't care about. The covertly evaluating gazes of her brothers also fully proved their acknowledgement of her Bella-2 status. Hera's eyes, however, were glued to her, that sharp girl with silver hair and silver eyes. She was the 4th daughter, Hera, born with a physical disability but making up for it with high intelligence. In the original book, the two were mortal enemies, but looking at this resourceful girl, she wanted her on her side even more. Besides, Hera would become a wealthy sister, and she wanted to experience the joy of being pampered by a rich lady. She looked at the girl with anticipation. Exhausted after the banquet ended, she only wanted to wake up and eat strawberry cheese ice cream to comfort her frightened soul. She basically fell asleep as soon as her head hit the pillow, but the butler Janan stayed by her side the whole time. When she groggily woke up 4 hours later, she wondered why Jenan was still there. It turned out she kept kicking the blankets off, and he was worried the girl would get a stomachache in the night. After all, she had drunk poison that day. But the man couldn't be purely worried about her. Was he afraid she'd show a moment of weakness and have her Bella 2 identity questioned? To her surprise, the man said, "I'm glad you're not sick." After saying that, he asked to help apply ointment. With her permission, he took off his gloves for the first time and gently applied the medicine to the leg that had been splashed earlier that day. "But young lady, can I tell you the truth? I'm a little sad because your leg is injured. Am I being weird?" Hearing this, the girl was stunned. Wasn't he an emotionless character? Someone who didn't sympathize with others' pain, and didn't even understand his own feelings. Yet the man continued, "I've never had this strange feeling before. It's very troubling, and I really dislike it. But of one thing I am certain. If you get hurt, I will be very sad. So please remember not to get hurt." Hearing this, she suddenly realized that Jenan had changed. Was it because the character of Viola had changed? Hearing the man say he didn't want her to get hurt, she guessed it was another test. How could a Bella 2 not get hurt? Who am I to you? She was the Bella 2 young lady he served, so he shouldn't spout nonsense. But she only wanted him to say something nice. "I won't get hurt, so don't be sad." This was her greed. She didn't even know where these desires came from. So she requested, "Can you just give me an order?" This made the girl curious. "What order?" "An order to protect the young lady. I hope you never get hurt, so I want to protect you." His sincere look almost fooled her. She pointed out that a butler was a housekeeper, not a guardian knight, just as her responsibility as a Bella 2 was to be a shield protecting humanity in the north. The man understood but was unwilling to give up. "If I were an outsider like Hickson, would you reach out and let me help?" At this moment, she didn't know his intention behind the question, so she replied, "Maybe." Unexpectedly, Jenan submitted his resignation the very next day. He didn't want to be a butler anymore. This shocked Viola speechless. "I will become someone who can protect you even better than Hickson. However, ideals are beautiful, but reality is cruel." The 7-year contract was not up, and resigning now would cost $10 billion in breach of contract fees. Previously, he hadn't thought about resigning, so he hadn't read the clauses on contract termination. This made Viola sigh in relief. There couldn't be too many variables. The book also mentioned that there was no butler more excellent than Jenan. Seeing the man had no money to pay the penalty, she comforted him. "Then stay by my side as a capable butler." Her words made the man's cold heart bloom, flashing a charming smile as he gladly agreed. But he had something to report. "Your dog is being beaten every day. There are rumors he'll die like this." Thinking of the male lead's formidable combat skills in the book, she guessed this must be high-intensity training. "I believe Hickson wouldn't kill my dog." Hearing this, Janan's emotions churned. Although the man was once a hero, he had been a cripple for 3 years. Why did she trust him more blindly than me? This sudden comparison made him realize, was this feeling what he had heard of as jealousy? But the girl wanted a competent butler, so his jealousy was unnecessary. Unfortunately, it wouldn't be madness if he compromised. "Do you want to go to the training grounds? To see how Hickson is treating your property?" Although it was a serious suggestion, the girl felt like he was tattling on Hickson. Curious about the male lead's training herself, she went to the training ground with him. They happened to see her dog fighting someone. Looking at their murderous auras, the girl was bewildered. What's going on here? Upon learning it was sparring, she was utterly speechless. They called this materialized killing intent sparring? Hickson, however, was full of excitement. Did I lose weight? Did I get more handsome? She had just eaten with her incredibly handsome father yesterday, and compared to him, the uncle was a bit of a shock. The man was left speechless, but he was more jealous of how close they had become, actually calling Heron Dad. But what else could she call him if not Dad? Hearing this, she knew they weren't close, and she was so happy she wanted to hum a little tune. Over here, the two were locked in a fierce battle. Seeing this, Hickson asked, "Who do you think will win?" The girl sharply caught the loophole in his wording. "Are you asking about usually or right now?" After getting the answer that it was right now, she unhesitatingly bet on Viken, as the boy had been trained since childhood. But the man was curious. "Then why did you ask under what circumstances?" It was because Viken and Tuent's sword styles were different. Viken was trained as a secret assassin and wasn't suited for combat in such an open space. Conversely, Tuent was trained by the man, and open-field combat was to his advantage. But his skills aren't as polished as Viken's yet. So as long as brother doesn't make a major mistake, he will win. Hearing this, Hickson felt proud and gratified. She was only 7, yet she considered terrain, skills, and all conditions. It was hard to believe someone her age had such thinking. But if brother reveals a flaw due to arrogance, he'll definitely be attacked and defeated. After all, Viken is still young and only sees this as a game. Unexpectedly, the two noticed Viola's arrival. P1 immediately got serious. He didn't want to disappoint his master. Viken also got excited. He wanted to show the girl how strong he was. With their respective goals, the two prepared for a life-or-death showdown. At the moment their swords clashed, the man interrupted them. "Stop, it's a draw." Hearing this, the brother was annoyed and dissatisfied. "I almost pierced his heart. Then your neck would have been hit too. Did you forget he has a longsword?" The brother was unwilling to accept it. "I was just about to dodge." This earned him a swift rap on the head from the man, who retorted, "Your whining is terrifying." Furious, Viken's killing intent surged. "I'll kill you!" The man wasn't afraid at all. "Try it if you have the ability." Seeing his sister calling him, Viken frantically explained that he hadn't lost, but the girl pulled out the contract they had written earlier. They had agreed that her brother would grant her one wish, and her wish was that no matter how strong he got, he couldn't kill the uncle. The uncle grumbled inwardly. If Hickson died, who would teach the original male lead? Seeing this, the brother could only agree with a pitiful expression. Beside them, the male lead blamed himself heavily for not winning and embarrassing his master. But the girl praised him. "You fought well. As long as you're not hurt, it's fine." The master's praise and concern warmed his heart, and he swore to be a good pet dog for the girl. The girl said she wanted him by her side, and a dog that accompanies someone is called a pet dog. Although she didn't know where he heard this twisted logic, what was the meaning of the boy leaning his head forward? She tentatively patted his head. The boy was satisfied, blushing as he expressed his feelings. "I'm so happy the master praised me." This made the brother extremely unhappy. "Why don't you praise me?" The two shared the same thought. "One day, I'm going to kill you." Seeing the girl tame his disciple so perfectly, Hickson suddenly discovered her secret. She thought the man had seen through her identity as someone who possessed the body. But unexpectedly, he said, "You have a talent for being a mercenary. You use your childish face as a mask to pretend to seek help, but in your bones, you're the iron-blooded young lady from the welcome banquet." Not only did he not hate it, but he even found this contrast cute. Hearing this, the butler seemed to see an ally. He, too, had noticed the young lady's cuteness. Taking advantage of the end of the sparring, Viola immediately asked to speak with her brother alone. Hearing it was just the two of them, Viken was overjoyed, his eyes full of anticipation, making the male lead look like an abandoned puppy. She gave some words of encouragement and turned away heartlessly, lingering fear in her heart. She almost panicked and made eye contact for over 5 seconds, which would have summoned the real Viola. Back in her room, the girl warned her brother not to be so murderous toward her dog. After all, killing the original male lead would be a disaster. You need to have the demeanor of a strong person. But the boy understood instantly. "Does Viola want me to be more handsome?" Getting a positive response, the brother immediately obeyed. This made her very confused. The original book never mentioned Viken being obsessed with being handsome. Was it because she was actually doing a great job? Thinking about how the butler's state was also very strange, and the male lead wanted to be her pet dog. But the most important thing was that Hera still hadn't come. According to the novel, she would seek her out a few days after the banquet. But after waiting bitterly for 2 weeks, she still hadn't shown up. It seemed she had to throw out the bait first, so she had the butler give a note to Hera. Seeing this, the man was curious about the content. She smiled meaningfully. "Just saying I want to get along well." A day later, the person she was waiting for finally arrived. The frail and sickly young girl came escorted by her butler, turning her head to immediately order her subordinates out. The girl also sent Jenan away, and casually asked if her sister wanted some tea and snacks. She really wanted to drink a strawberry iced beverage, but after being rejected, she had to give up. This was because the book stated that the rich sister's character brooked no defiance. Once the butler left, her killing intent ran wild. "Why did you insult me?" But she didn't mean to humiliate Hera. A note saying "let's get along well in Bella too" to me is an insulting expression meaning, "you are not my rival." To Hera, who gave up being the head of the family due to her physical defects, this was especially true. "I'm sorry for making you misunderstand. I haven't quite gotten the hang of being a Bella too yet. But why did you accept and come here? Is it your responsibility as an older sister to check on your youngest sister's face? Go ahead and examine my face to your heart's content." In the book, Hera gave up the competition and turned to help the future head of the family. She hid her claws, interacted with her siblings, judged and decided on the successor and allies herself, and gained the Duke's approval. So Hera, who came to confirm if I was the successor, had to be brought over to my side. And Hera had sensed from the banquet that the other's confidence and ease seemed like an innate talent. But Viola continued, "I don't know much about Bella too yet, But I know one thing, the strong survive and the weak perish. If you can't prove your qualifications, you'll be eliminated. How could an illegitimate daughter survive here? There's no record of me officially executing a mission either. If you don't mind, will you listen to me, sister? She had to play the smart person Hera liked first. She originally wanted to conquer the scheming, sickly sister with intelligence, but the other preferred her arrogance and presumptuousness. And she was an existence even Viken didn't dare provoke, able to enter and leave their father's office at will. Absolutely do not mess with my sister, was a direct order from their father. But someone directly under their father's protection could never become the head of the family. Yet this was exactly what her sister wanted. After all, what you've always wanted was to be the kingmaker. She believed she had never revealed this thought anywhere. How did a child who just entered the house know? It seems I have to test her seriously. Are you sure? And she was very certain. Her sister had made a deal with their father, giving up the fight for the head position in exchange for protection, supporting the future head to bring prosperity to the family. And the person executing this mission was called the White Belitu. The Belitu family was divided into two factions, the Black Belitu in charge of martial prowess, and the White Belitu in charge of strategy. But everyone thought the White Belitu were just useless people hiding away using their brains, which was also their view of Hera. But she thought her sister was amazing. For someone with a disability like her, this was the smartest and most rational choice. I respect that point. I sincerely think you are a true Belitu. This unprecedented kind understanding stirred Hera's heart. But does it feel comfortable acting while wearing a mask that doesn't fit? This startled Viola. Did she see through me? Trying to hide your own madness must drive you crazy. You actually want to swing the sword in your hand, don't you? Hearing this, she couldn't believe it. Was she talking about her? Of course, excessive bloodlust isn't Belitu. That's a mass murderer. But you possess the rationality to control your madness. That's what Genon reported. And the reason Hera knew was that the butlers shared information. I was actually curious if Genon's evaluation was too high, but now it seems completely correct. She suddenly reached out and stated directly, I like you too, Viola. Your looks are my type as well. This made the girl sweat profusely. Did she fall for her that quickly? But she instantly understood that this was Hera's test. Now she just needed to display the image of the absolute ruler the other desired. So she ruthlessly swatted Hera's hand away, grabbed the ends of her hair, her eyes crazed. My beautiful sister, don't cross the line. I chose you, not the other way around. Do you understand? The immense killing intent shocked the girl. Viola was far inferior to the eldest sister and second brother. She had no power base and no maternal family to help her. But she was only 7. If she could help her grow, how powerful would she become? Then she suddenly heard Viola say, I hope we can become good family to each other. But to Belitu, a good family meant utilizing each other's strengths to make up for weaknesses, maximizing mutual benefits. But the girl didn't mean that at all. She simply wanted to cling to a powerful backer. Hera obviously misunderstood that the other wanted to use her. But she liked the girl's intelligence and talent, so she suggested taking the girl to a place. This is a secret between the two of us. She wanted to show her her secret forces, a place even the butler and her father didn't know about. After all, an unseen blade is far more terrifying than a visible one. The next day, she found herself in a dilemma. The address Hera gave was something that hadn't appeared in the novel. The two weren't close to begin with, so she had to find it herself. And her father and the butler couldn't possibly be unaware of things in the East Castle. She was clearly testing her. So before leaving, she had to arrange everything. She went to the appointment alone as requested by her sister, but the place was empty. Amidst her confusion, a sinister laugh rang out. A lost noble lady. We have to deal with her quickly before the guard finds out. So they were just human traffickers kidnapping children to sell as slaves. She didn't panic, but politely greeted them. My name is Viola Belitu. I'm 7 years old this year. Hearing Belitu, the crowd panicked slightly. Seeing this, she understood Hera had hidden her identity. Ignoring the miserable plight of the crowd, she said, First, I revealed I am a Belitu. Second, I am 7 years old. I also disclosed that in the East Castle, children under 10 are protected. Yet you still threatened me with weapons. Her killing intent surfaced, mocking the trash. The powerful aura startled the man, who feigned composure and argued stubbornly. As long as we're out of the East Castle, no one will know. But the girl suddenly reached out. Genon, clean water, it's splashed too dirty. I need to wash my ears. The elusive butler terrified the crowd. Where did he pop out from? After a gust of wind, the men were directly taken down. The unconscious one was hit with a deadly poison. The rest of you were hit with a paralyzing poison. I'll give you a choice. He'll die in an hour anyway. So please take him out of the East Castle within 2 hours, or you all stay. I'll count down from 3. 1, 2. Before she could finish, a few of them picked up the fallen leader and ran wildly. Although killing was terrifying, those scumbags were better off eliminated. She ruthlessly forced herself to adapt to this world. Jenin, once they leave the East Castle, dispose of them. Also, if Sister doesn't come out soon, I'll kill everyone in the Terra Merchant Guild. Before long, the rumbling of a wheelchair sounded. Didn't we agree not to bring a butler? Sister should be glad I brought a butler, otherwise I would have killed everyone. Given my age, it would only be considered self-defense. But will the investigation team from the Duke's castle side with the sister who did something so childishly un-Bellatu? Or side with me, who did what a Bellatu should do? And you leaked the information that fallen nobles would come here, and you also brought a butler, so let's call it even? The girl didn't dwell on it much either. Then let's go where we're supposed to go now. I'll push you. Not waiting for her to refuse, she said, "You are my sister." Instantly, an unfamiliar warmth welled up in her heart. The two chatted merrily all the way. Hearing Viola think money was the best, she laughed. How could a young lady say such vulgar things? She was still indifferent. Don't you like money too? Do you know why nobles never say they like money? Because they are all well-fed pigs. They've never been hungry, so they pretend to be noble. Hera couldn't help but burst into laughter, which thoroughly shocked the girl. The book mentioned that Hera would burst into laughter when conversing with someone she truly liked. It seemed her sister would stand by her side. Chatting as they walked, the two quickly arrived at one of Hera's secret strongholds, the Terra Merchant Guild. Looking at the epoch-making 10-story building in front of her, she completely prostrated herself in admiration for her sister. After all, the architectural technology of this world lagged far behind modern times. To achieve this at 12 years old, I really love my sister so much. Hearing this, the young girl's eyes curved in a smile, clearly pleased. Although the girl owned this entire merchant guild, on the surface it was run by a reputable merchant. Suddenly, a chill struck. Did you kill him? Hearing her sister say it was a natural death, she finally relaxed, but suddenly had a flash of inspiration. Servan was skilled in disguise. Could he have worn a mask and pretended to be the dead merchant? Thinking so, she asked just that. Hearing this, the sister was startled at first, then smiled. You investigated very clearly. Meeting a worthy opponent brought the sister exceptional joy. Do you feel it? My heartbeat is much faster than usual. I'm very glad to meet you, Viola. Her sincere smile made Viola feel guilty for planning to use the original plot to drag Hera along. Then let's really get along well. Using everything she knew to help her sister would not only bring them closer, but also get Hera on her side. I want to invest in Sister's business. Her ambitious tone startled her sister. Didn't she come from the slums? Curious, she asked how much money she had. Don't I have any? But however much Sister needs, I'll get it for you. Not wanting to put the girl in a difficult position, Hera carefully stated a number. 100 million, is that a lot? Viola wasn't scared off. Instead, she was confident. It's much less than I imagined. A few days later, she was summoned by the Duke. The butler reported to the Duke that the young lady wanted some pocket money. But even upon arriving at the Duke's place, the girl bluntly asked for money. The butler standing by was scared half to death. Speaking like that could get one's neck snapped. Unexpectedly, the Duke wasn't angry at all. He had thought he was going to severely teach the girl a lesson, which simultaneously reshaped Viola's worldview. Heron surprisingly liked her thick skin. Thus, she took full advantage of this trait. Besides asking for pocket money, she also used it as an excuse to see her father. She successfully sweet-talked the aloof Duke into losing his bearings. How much money do you need? And she needed 100 million, which was exactly the amount a candidate for family head could receive at 12 years old. She was simply taking an advance on it, with the goal of supporting Hera's business. Hearing this, the man didn't understand why. Wasn't building an army also a Bellatu's duty? Anyway, Sister can't become the successor, and I think it would be better if she stood by my side. But I'm not asking for it for free. The season when wild boars wreaked havoc was approaching, and she would go resolve it. If I fail, you can kill me. A game betting on one's life is so interesting. Seeing her father happy, she spread her small hands. Courtesy demands reciprocity, you like it, right? Then give me the money first. The tiny, chubby human cub made the Duke's heart tremble with fondness. Is 100 million enough? I'll give you 2 billion. Because of her innate talent as an assassin, she was adopted by the Duke to serve as a stimulant to hone the successors. But looking at the girl's adorable appearance, he repeatedly surrendered. He could only force himself not to waver from his original intention, instructing the butler. If Viola reaches 10 years old and still hasn't achieved outstanding results, her qualification as a successor will be revoked. Staring at the cheerful back of the girl who had just gotten her pocket money, he secretly prayed, "You better perform well, otherwise your neck won't stay safe and sound like this." Years passed in a flash, and the now 10-year-old Viola was no longer protected by the laws of the East Castle. Her brother, having just returned from a mission, ran to see the girl immediately. Hearing her ask if he had reported to father yet, her brother shuddered. To him, his sister was the most important. He guiltily brushed it off. "I'm going right now." Having grown up together, she knew perfectly well that her brother would definitely push it off to the butler, so she sternly warned, "I can legally compete with you for the successor position now. If brother cannot fulfill his Bellatu duties, I won't acknowledge you as a competitor." Questioned by someone she cared about, he couldn't bear the blow and immediately obediently went to report to their father. The butler standing aside also understood. Young Master Viken must have wanted to be the first to see the young lady. The killing intent in his eyes had largely dissipated. His curiosity towards the young lady hadn't changed, but his feelings and rationality had. This, however, was deliberate on the girl's part. If she wanted her brother to firmly stand by her side, she first had to make him grow up properly. She was 10 years old now, and her other siblings wouldn't let her off the hook. More importantly, according to the original work, she was about to formally declare to Heron her entry into the successor competition in the Spring Garden. But she was going to replace that little episode with something else. A few days later, she successfully arranged to meet the Duke. Looking at the garden full of crabapple blossoms, Heron recalled his true love who favored crabapples the most, but was awakened by a call of "Father." The girl strolled over, getting straight to the point. "Do you remember this day 3 years ago? That day you must have ordered the butler that if I couldn't achieve good results by the age of 10, you would either strip me of my successor qualification or banish me." But she kept her promise and protected the village ravaged by wild boars and without any slaughter occurring. In the past, Heron always had to use military force to deal with the wild boar herds. She used earthworms to loosen the soil, making the barren mountain soil more fertile. The abundant food completely satisfied the wild boar's needs, to the point that they no longer caused trouble in commoners' homes. This instantly solved the problem that had plagued them every year. But even though she added a stroke to the history of biosynthesis, her father didn't ask much, nor did he make the method known to the world. "Is it because father hopes I will become a black Bellatu?" The Duke didn't hide it. Instead, he revealed the cruel truth. "I brought you back hoping you would become nourishment for my biological children, using your outstanding assassin abilities to stimulate their talents. I hope you can become a black Bellatu." The girl didn't panic in the slightest. "What if I want to go against father's wishes and advance as a strategy-focused white Bellatu?" And she only had one reason for wanting to be a white Bellatu. It could help her avoid a murderous competition with her siblings. "I believe I have fully proven my talent and qualifications as a white Bellatu. If my hands and feet can kill 100 people, then my mind and mouth can kill 10,000. Father is the Duke of 1,000 kills. Then I shall become the young lady of 10,000 kills." She was obviously pretending to be a madwoman just to survive, yet she acted it out more realistically than the real thing. At merely 7 years old, she used her own life as collateral to borrow $2 billion from her father, and in just 3 years multiplied the assets 100-fold. The reporting butler beside her shared in the glory. "The young lady I serve is amazing, right?" Looking at the documents recording his daughter's feats, the Duke stayed silent for a moment before having the butler call the girl in. "Father, you asked for me?" Without even looking up. The man noticed she was hiding something behind her back. Hearing this, the girl unhesitatingly brought it out. "Dad seems to like this kind of flower, so I made this familiar flower." This made Heron's heart stir, but he stubbornly complained that he didn't want it. Viola ignored him entirely and walked straight toward the Duke. Thinking about how hard she worked to make it just for her dad, she gently placed the flower crown on the man's head, smiling brightly. "It really suits you as expected." The Duke remained stubborn. "I don't do weird things like this." "Then take it off." His awkward appearance amused the girl even more. "It's very pretty, it suits you." Hearing the other remark on how freely she smiled instantly made the girl change her expression, killing intent overflowing. "You know how I usually am. I'm only like this in front of Dad." The next moment, they both looked toward the door in unison. It turned out to be the butler panting heavily, but seeing the Duke wearing a flower crown left the butler filled with question marks. Noticing the other's curious gaze, the man quietly took it off. He changed the subject. "Is there any urgent report?" The butler then awkwardly stated it was about Viola. Before the butler could continue, the Duke instead asked the girl, "Since you want to be a white Bellatu, guess what urgent matter the butler is here to report now?" She guessed correctly on the first try that it was about the whereabouts of those $2 billion. 3 years ago, using the $2 billion the Duke gave her as collateral, she borrowed another $1 billion from the bank. After giving Hera the $100 million she requested, she used all the remaining money to purchase District 10's desert. Although it was a wasteland situated between the East Castle and the major southern city, the empire at the center of the continent announced they would build a massive trade route connecting the cities, causing the nearby land prices to soar tenfold. And the person owning most of the land was exactly Viola. Previously, the East Castle had been isolated due to subjugating monsters. But now the empire's situation had changed, and the current growth rate was negative. If they wanted to develop, they could only connect the cities to promote trade. This wasn't the only reason. More importantly, the impending economic crisis and continuous currency depreciation meant the empire would undoubtedly support the economy through large-scale civil engineering projects. The empire's ministers began planning this 3 years ago. I guessed that for the sake of the people, he would implement such policies. So 3 years ago, I said I would become a white Bellatu at this juncture. Her brilliant strategy of planning 10 steps ahead rendered the two men momentarily speechless. But she knew that someone without power owning that land might have it seized or be eliminated by some faction. But my father is Heron Bellatu, someone even the emperor wouldn't dare casually offend. While showing her strength, she didn't forget to show weakness to curry favor. I'm so lucky to be Dad's daughter. This made the man tremble. At night, looking at his wife's photograph, he remembered she had said the exact same words. I'm so lucky to be your wife. Only I can have you. Viola and his wife were so alike. Could it be a child specially sent by her so he wouldn't be lonely anymore? Thinking in his heart that it couldn't be, he nonetheless honestly looked at the treasured fresh flowers, the ones his wife had specially made for him. He seemed to hear the exact same words from the two of them echoing in his ears again. It's very pretty. It really suits you. He placed the flower crown next to his true love's flower ring, just as Viola and his wife were equally precious. Here it comes, the family where everyone is mad. The new season of The Adopted Daughter Pretending to be Ruthless is officially online. All the new characters appear one after another, opening a new chapter where the female lead subdues them one by one with her strength. Now the story begins. The mad adopted daughter, who always presented herself with wit, was enraged for the first time by her gloomy third brother, revealing the true strength of a killing star. Hera didn't quite agree with her wanting to be a strategy-focused white Bellatu. After all, her iron-blooded methods at the welcome banquet were enough to go down in family history, and at 10 years old, she led people to wipe out a group of bandits. She really couldn't understand why the excellent Viola wanted to be a white Bellatu. But 3 years ago, you didn't understand why I bought that useless land either. And how about now? Therefore, she was still unwilling to accept it, insisting it was just good luck, finding Viola's killing intent to be overflowing. Isn't sister an entrepreneur? Do you really think I rely solely on luck? This instantly calmed Hera down. Success never relied solely on luck. The girl comfortingly patted her sister's shoulder. I know sister's feelings for me. My reason for hoping to become a white Bellatu also involves sister. I don't want you to be ignored because you are a white Bellatu. Actually, without the white Bellatu, the black Bellatu wouldn't have reached their current heights. Although Hera found it too absurd, her heart felt unexpectedly warm. But she knew the Duke was also raising the girl as a black Bellatu. So trying to change paths midway wouldn't be that easy. How could Viola not understand? He would probably employ some unreasonable tactics, right? A moment later, she called in the original book's male lead, P1&P2, warning him to prepare for any sudden situations. And knowing his master's movements, he guessed the Duke's test was imminent. But master, may I lift my head? The girl, however, unhesitatingly refused, simply because if she made eye contact with the male lead for 5 seconds, the real Viola would emerge. She reassuringly patted the boy's head, making his satisfied little face blush slightly. It was just that he hadn't seen his master's eyes for 3 years. When would she allow it? If I become stronger and more trusted, master will probably agree to it. It seems I need to go back and read the pet dog guide again. Suddenly, she smelled the strong scent of blood. The source of the smell was exactly the third young master, Dao Kun. Though puzzled as to why he was here, she still politely bowed her head to greet him. Are you Viola's toy? Aren't you a mutt? A dog should bow deeply when seeing a master, right? The youth's aura didn't lose out to the third young master in the slightest. My master is the young lady Viola. The other, however, didn't intend to let him off. Give it a try, woof woof. Saying so, he approached. He humiliatingly spat on the boy's face and hypocritically took out a poisoned handkerchief. Oh my, I couldn't help but cough. Use this to wipe it. Suddenly, a voice came from ahead. Enough is enough, brother. Originally, it was just a simple request, but seeing the youth turn his head, with that utterly insulting spit on his face, her pupils contracted, and she was completely enraged. She calmly reached out and had the male lead come over, gently using her own handkerchief to wipe away the stain, while warning her third brother, don't do things that make even the butlers or maids feel ashamed of you. The overwhelmed youth stared blankly at his master. So these were his master's pupils, and her eyes had already turned a bloodthirsty red. The man twisted his neck bizarrely. There's no butler here, but there is a maid behind you. If I get rid of her, then no one will see it, right? Frightened, the maid backed away, trembling in fear. Just as the man was about to act, the trash driven by a lifetime of inferiority complex made him freeze. The next second, Viola descended from the sky, and he hurriedly brought out his great sword to block. This was the first time she displayed her true killing intent. She was a born killing star with extraordinary talent and a monster as clever as a demon. The adopted daughter had long anticipated that her third brother would come looking for trouble, and had set up today's trap. After one strike, she landed steadily, her blood-red pupils mesmerizing her third brother. So this was the genius killing star recorded in history, truly beautiful, fast, and elegant. The figure that attacked was even more formidable than their outstanding eldest sister at 10 years old. This made him use his strongest move, the third stance of the Bella II sword style. The instant, powerful collision sent the girl flying into the air. Adjusting with 3 spins, she landed steadily. Although blood trickled from the corner of her lips, she also unknowingly inflicted internal injuries on her third brother. The clueless man was still full of mockery, thinking it wasn't bad that a 10-year-old child who hadn't fully learned the Bella II sword style could block his strike. He even prepared a meeting gift for his sister. A dying cat was thrown at her feet, representing his mockery and humiliation toward Viola. Looking at the tortured cat left with only a breath, the girl could only endure the pain and help end its life. But this made her even more furious. What a pity, brother. The man deliberately waited, pitying her choice to be a white Bella II, pitying their first meeting. The oppressive presence full of killing intent made the third brother freeze for a moment. A voice burning with rage sounded. What crime did a cat that can't speak commit? The person who arrived was precisely the animal lover Hickson. He heartbreakingly picked up the dead kitten, his eyes as cold as ice picks. You, come with me. A moment later, in the martial arts arena, Dao-kun was beaten black and blue. He sneered hatefully. The girl is truly despicable. Thank you for the compliment. It would be even better if you called it strategy. Watching his sorry figure leave, she had not only anticipated that Dao-kun would come looking for her, but she also knew her father wanted to see her reaction to examine if she could become a strategy-focused white Bella II. Thus, she prepared a magic communication bracelet for Hickson in advance. As long as magic was injected, the other side would issue a warning, and the stronger the magic, the louder the volume. And Hickson's bracelet almost broke, a point she hadn't anticipated. Could it be because it was too old? Seeing this, Hickson was speechless. Did she not know her magic was overwhelmingly powerful? Without thinking too much, he had the male lead bury the cat. Seeing him depressed, the girl wondered what was wrong with him. Although he said it was nothing, his back looked exceptionally desolate. After silently burying the cat, his painful emotions poured out. Even though he trained diligently day and night, he couldn't do anything. Whether it was the death of his family or now, he could only hide behind others. If I become stronger, I should be able to protect my master this time. But he forgot that he was just a child who started very late. And self-blame and denial overwhelmed him. Suddenly, the rain on his body stopped. The girl held a small umbrella over his head. I knew you would be like this. Get up. This is an order. Without minding the boy's dirty little hands pulling her up, she said, You finish what you're supposed to do. She rewarding patted his head. You endured very well today. The one I called was Hickson, not you. Because of this, he stepped out from his mood of self-blame and promised, I will become stronger. Trash like the third young master, I will become so strong that he won't dare to even look at me. I will block everything that insults my master for you. And afterward, he proved to be a man of his word. In the mad family full of tests, she could only pretend to be crazy to fight for a way to survive. Anticipating that her clash with Dao-kun would be reported to their father, she deliberately used strategy to showcase her white Bella II abilities, yet unexpectedly caught her eldest sister's attention. Although the priest was healing Dao-kun's injuries, there was one very strange thing. He had a sharp wound on his chest from the inside out, but Hickson only used his fists. So that must have been caused by Viola. To cause a wound from the inside out, only someone who could manipulate magic could do it. Even at 10 years old, I couldn't do it to that extent. While proving her white Bella II abilities, Viola also deliberately told them that her aptitude as a black Bella II was quite good too. Encountering a strong opponent excited her. Can I go see her? But the eldest sister's arrival made her confused. Did we meet at this time in the book? But none of this mattered. What was important was that her second favorite character was right in front of her. Viola's sheer ecstasy was plain to her eyes. Do you want to see me that much? Therefore, she didn't hide her appreciation. I really want to experience the White North Wind eldest young lady. Medea was granted knight qualifications at 12. wiped out a goblin horde alone the same year, and after exceptionally being certified as a ninth-rank regular knight, refreshed public perception with the title of Genius every year. The first person to become a first-rank knight at 20, she was bestowed the title of the 32nd star by the Emperor. Therefore, people called her the White North Wind, likening her to a massive blizzard that only blows once in 10,000 years. But does sister have any business seeking me out? I heard you injured Daokun. But that was Hickson's achievement, not hers. The eldest sister suddenly drew her sword. Hiding your strength is a good idea, but you shouldn't let people discover this fact. The opponent's sword pointed straight at her throat, and the atmosphere instantly became tense. The butler instantly exuded killing intent, threatening, "This is the Duke's mansion." But she was a knight bestowed a star by the Emperor, capable of overriding everything except the Emperor's command, naturally not needing to abide by the Duke's mansion's laws. With her life threatened, she still didn't panic. Is the Emperor's command really above the laws of the Duke's mansion? But I don't think the regulations of the ruler of the East Castle would be lower than a knight's privileges. Because it's Dad. In my heart, Dad is the strongest, and we should abide by the laws made by the strongest, right? At least within Bellatu territory. And besides, Heron's martial prowess defeated the Emperor's. The eldest sister, who could see through people's hearts, was dumbfounded. This was different from what she thought. In her eyes, the other was just a fangirl hyping up their father. The eldest sister helplessly lowered her sword. But you have to come with me to the martial arts arena. Hearing this, Viola felt as if struck by lightning, a test again and again. She was just an imposter adopted daughter who transmigrated. Would she be found out if she went? It was better to stall for time and think of a way. Can you let me finish my strawberry milk before leaving? But the eldest sister interpreted this as calm and composed. Jenon made this for me himself. It's very delicious. The capable and handsome butler was modest. Seeing that Viola liked strawberry smoothies, he practiced a bit. But an ice sword master actually using ice magic to make smoothie drinks was really spoiling her to the heavens. Thinking that the eldest sister was an upright and straightforward character, as well as an extraordinarily talented, hardworking genius. The reason she worked so hard was hoping that no family member would die competing for the successor position again, so she was stronger than anyone else. Thinking of this, she suddenly paused. She seemed to have found a way to pass the test. Compared to defending against the opponent, the obvious weapon flaw exposed by the eldest sister's longsword puzzled her sister. But she precisely wanted to use this to create a favorable condition. If sister stands there without moving, I will definitely win. Her thick skin amused her sister. Then give it a try. Hickson, watching from the side, secretly warned himself that he would personally intervene if necessary. Seeing the other regain her heroic spirit, the sister was very surprised. She thought she would seek death after a few years. Could it be that Viola changed her? Before she could finish her thoughts, the girl already held her sword and spoke. I'm ready. The sister originally wanted to test Viola's strength, but unexpectedly, she just raised her blade and advanced without any method. The eldest sister swung out sword aura to warn her that attacking in that manner would get her cut. Strands of hair were severed, yet she didn't even blink an eye. After going through countless tests over 3 years, she had long grown accustomed to dancing on the tip of a blade. Did you not hear what I said? The continuous sword auras stung her cheeks. But her seemingly ignorant method had a reason. Because Medea would absolutely never attack her own siblings, and this was exactly the part of her eldest sister that the original owner in the book both hated and admired. Knowing she would attack yet not leaving, why die so pointlessly? It was pitiful that despite her lifelong efforts, she couldn't change Bellatu's cruel mechanism. She was already tired and wanted to rest. Forgive your worthless sister for pushing this heavy burden onto you. But I still love you, my dear little sister. But the current Viola would absolutely not allow that kind of thing to happen. So she rushed up and hugged her eldest sister's waist. I win. The first ever hug from a family member left her flustered, but she still couldn't help but lecture. If I were the enemy, you'd be dead. The girl, however, spoke boldly. Then wouldn't it be over if sister stabbed me right now? The second and third brothers who fought with the eldest sister were both alive, so she believed her sister wouldn't stab her. Saying that, she grabbed the eldest sister's hand and suggested going to a quiet place to talk. Hickson was the first to disagree. What about me? His expression, looking like a father hearing his daughter say, Dad, I have a boyfriend, left the girl speechless. She rejected the 2 expectant men along with him, instantly making the 3 of them sad and wronged. Upon sitting down in the courtyard, the eldest sister got straight to the point. What do you want to say? The girl didn't want to beat around the bush and was even more direct. Sister, we all live wearing masks, but sister's mask is a bit different. From the welcome banquet, she felt that the eldest sister's look toward her wasn't curiosity, but concern. She believed the eldest sister could understand the underlying meaning of her words. But the sister completely ignored the topic. I don't know. Since sister isn't being honest, then I'll take the initiative. I hate the war between flesh and blood, the various political machinations for the successor position. This is not the kind of family I've always longed for. Instantly, the eldest sister's expression turned solemn, killing intent leaking out. This isn't like a Bella-2 at all. Even facing substantial killing intent, she wasn't afraid. Right, after all, I'm an adopted daughter. Before coming to Bella-2, she was lonely and worked hard, and the motivation supporting her memories had passed away. The past she deliberately ignored and forgot cut through her heart again like glass shards. Sensing the child's sadness, the eldest sister unconsciously softened. And she had admired her eldest sister from a long time ago, because the legend of the White North Wind had blown all the way to the slums. Even if her sister was different from the iron-blooded rumors, she hoped her sister was her true sister. Actually, the two were very similar. They wore masks to complete their respective goals, but their hearts were soft and kind. Sure enough, she warmly hugged the love-starved girl. Congratulations on becoming a Bella-2. The long-lost warmth made her deeply attached. Unknowingly, she seemed to have grown accustomed to it. Both her body and soul had become Viola. Medea's embrace was warmer and broader than she imagined. Viola felt just like a baby kangaroo in a mother kangaroo's pouch. This warmth made Viola incredibly attached. It took a long time before she loosened her grip. Medea gently stroked Viola's head, sighing helplessly. I never thought such a ridiculous thing would happen. Medea previously thought she fit the image of the Bella-2 family more than anyone else, but looking at those big, bright, expressive eyes, she really is so cute. Can someone explain what you two are doing right now? A displeased voice suddenly rang out. Medea suddenly jolted, and the clattering sound of footsteps approached from afar. It was Heron, the ruler of the East Castle. Medea immediately stood up, bowed slightly, placed her right hand on her left chest, and respectfully saluted. Greetings, father. Viola looked at this scene somewhat awkwardly. Actually, her father didn't really like this extremely standard way of saluting. So should I bow or not? Forget it, whatever. Viola slightly lifted both sides of her skirt and bent down. Welcome, father. But what do you want us to explain? Viola straightened up, looking Heron in the eyes. Didn't you decide to switch and become a white Bella-2? Viola smiled knowingly. It seemed he wanted me to figure it out myself. But her mouth explained, I was just hugging Sister Medea just now. Heron's eyebrows furrowed slightly. You should know I'm not asking about what happened. I have to protect Viola. Beside them, Medea strode over to Heron. For a Bella-2, isn't this basic competence? Analyzing the opponent's build and feeling the high, low, and flow of mana through a hug? You need to grasp Viola's condition. Heron cast a questioning glance at Medea, and Viola immediately spoke up. No, I sought her out for a hug. Father, can you hug me too? Viola's coquettish request made Medea widen her eyes in shock. I want a hug. Without waiting for Heron to answer, Viola spread her arms and took a step forward. Watching from the side, Medea frowned deeply. What are you trying to do, Viola? I might be willing to be your older sister, but I have no idea how to protect you from father. Heron didn't say a word. He looked at Viola, seemingly deep in thought. After a long moment, he bent down and picked her up. Viola rested her head gently against Heron's chest. Thump, thump. She could hear his heartbeat. Even though she knew it was stating the obvious, she thought to herself, so Heron really is human after all. Leaning against his chest, Viola spoke up. The reason I wanted a hug from you is because I wanted to know what the Lord of Winter and the White North Wind have in common physically. After all, Sister Medea is your own flesh and blood, isn't she? And did you find our common ground? Heron asked. No, I didn't, Viola said, lifting her head. Your chest is just too broad, father. My arms are so short I can't even wrap them around you. How could I possibly analyze anything? However, your embrace is very warm. Viola's answer seemed to displease Heron slightly. He released one of the hands he had resting on Viola's legs. Then what is the point of having me hug you? Does there always have to be a point? I just wanted to give you a hug, Viola countered. Heron set Viola down on the ground and said, Time is only valuable when every moment is spent meaningfully. And as members of the Bella-2 family, we ought to make time show its full value. Viola nodded. Okay, I will start looking into it right now. So, could you hold me for just a little longer? She opened her arms again, speaking with a pleading tone. I will figure out a logical reason and get to the bottom of the true nature of this feeling. Heron clenched his fists, looking at Viola. In truth, he wanted to ask himself, why do I want to hug this child? There isn't a single logical reason for it. Yet despite his thoughts, Heron picked Viola up again. Thank you for hugging me, Viola whispered. Medea followed Heron back to his room. After weighing her words for a long time, she finally asked, "Father, are you going to punish that child, Viola?" Heron swirled the coffee in his cup. "If I were going to punish her, I would have done it right then and there. What makes you think I would punish her?" "Because you seem different than usual, Father," Medea answered honestly. "Is it because you've let go of all your expectations for Viola that you're treating her so gently? If I could just lend Viola a helping hand, she would definitely be able to prove her capabilities as a Bella-2 again." "Father, if it is at all possible," Medea took a deep breath, "I would like to take Viola with me on my next mission." The next day, Medea came to find Viola. The two of them enjoyed some delicious strawberry soda together. "It's good, isn't it?" Viola asked expectantly. "Yes, it's delicious," Medea said after taking a sip. "Viola, you will be receiving your mission notice very soon." Medea set her soda down. "A mission notice?" "Yes. When the time comes, you'll be going on a mission with me." Hearing this, Viola instantly tensed up and swallowed hard. The missions assigned to Medea are probably all on hell difficulty. Does she really have to bring me along? "We're going to the Hurricane Fortress." Medea's words made Viola's eyes widen in shock. Could it be the mission to assassinate Cheka, the Hurricane Sword? Out of sheer panic, Viola's hands began to tremble involuntarily. In her heart, she was praying endlessly, "Please, please let it be any mission but this one." Just as expected of the White Bellatu. You guessed right. Medea revealed a deeply gratified smile. "I am your older sister. I can give you plenty of guidance so you can prove your strength as a Bella-2. Medea's sudden sense of responsibility made Viola want to cry. "Sister, you look so beautiful when you smile, beautifully making me want to die." This mission was codenamed Eye of the Hurricane. The leader of the Hurricane Fortress protected the Empire from the invasions out of the Barbarian Canyon, and the Eye of the Hurricane was an assassination mission targeting the fortress leader, Cheka Parler. Cheka had published multiple articles in periodicals criticizing Winter City. Because of the newly announced imperial trade route, the Golden Route, the young lady of the Bella-2 family had raked in billions of dahlias in profit. Cheka claimed this was a special privilege granted to Winter City, operating essentially as illegal trade under the guise of world affairs. Viola took a deep breath. But in the original novel, this mission wasn't supposed to happen for another 3 years. I can't believe even the plot details have changed now. However, he is still relentlessly biting at the Duke's family. It seems the general direction of the story hasn't changed after all. You must be aware of the recent trends across the continent, right? Medea interrupted Viola's thoughts. Yes, of course, Viola nodded. Therefore, I have received the order to assassinate Cheka, Medea stated. But if you do that, wouldn't Father be treated as a prime suspect? Viola asked. So what? Medea tilted her head, genuinely confused. As long as no one catches us red-handed, we can assassinate whoever we want, right? Truly worthy of the Bellatu family, Viola thought, somewhat speechless. But out loud, she answered, "Of course, it doesn't matter." Based on her analysis, this was one of the 5 most difficult missions. If Cheka was assassinated, the Bella-2 family and the Parler family would become bitter enemies. Viola racked her brain to recall the plot of the book. Eventually, the Parler family would grow stronger and become the most dangerous enemy of the Bella-2 dukedom. Both the original female lead, Viola, and Medea nearly died at their hands. I have to stop this from happening. I cannot let them ruin my beautiful future. Viola made up her mind. Early the next morning, Viola went to find Hickson. Uncle. What is it? Hickson was in the middle of meditating with his eyes closed. You know Cheka, don't you? From what I understand, you two used to be comrades. Viola cut straight to the point. I know him. What about it? Hearing Cheka's name, Hickson opened his eyes. Have you read this column he wrote? Don't you think it's a bit strange? Viola spread the newspaper out. In the original novel, Cheka, the leader of the Hurricane Fortress, was an incredibly proud man who would rather die than surrender, and he cared little for fame or fortune. A man like that wouldn't specifically write a column just to criticize Winter City. If Cheka truly wanted to condemn the Bellatu dukedom, he would definitely come and confront us to our faces, rather than using these methods to incite public opinion, Viola said, pointing at Cheka's photo. You're right, Hickson nodded. That guy would most likely just show up at our front door. That is exactly why I thought of you, Viola continued. What do you mean? Hickson didn't understand. What did this have to do with him? I heard that Cheka also has a young son. Hearing this, Hickson's expression instantly grew heavy. Instead of playing dirty tricks behind the scenes, Medea sent a direct official dispatch stating her intention to visit the Hurricane Fortress. The magically transmitted document received an approval for the visit in just 1 day. Thus, the eldest lady of the Duke's house, Medea, formed an envoy delegation with herself at the head. Since Jenin was a wanted fugitive, he disguised himself with servants' help and tagged along. Because the mission was so dangerous, Toon and Hickson were also added to the roster. After a long week of travel, the Balatu envoy, led by Medea, finally arrived at the Hurricane Fortress. Horns blared as the massive iron gates swung open with a heavy scrape, welcoming the visitors. First Lady Medea and Sixth Lady Viola. A fully armored man walked out from behind the iron gates. It was Cheka, the Hurricane Sword. He held a long sword that emitted a gleaming blue light, and his presence was overwhelmingly sharp. Medea offered a smiling greeting. It has been a long time. Cheka, however, involuntarily tightened his grip on the sword at his waist. Their auras clashed in the air, stirring up a vortex of energy around them. Standing off to the side, Viola swallowed hard. Why are they acting so aggressively the second they meet? For a Reaper coming to take my life, you certainly wear a surprisingly gentle expression. How unexpected, Cheka mocked. Our envoy is here to establish friendly relations. I do not quite understand what you mean, dear Cheka, Medea replied, her smile never wavering. As a gesture of welcome, Cheka drew his sword. I would like to spar with you, Lady Medea. No problem. Medea also drew her sword. Viola watched the two of them. This is completely different from what happened back then. If I intervene now, I might actually die. But for the sake of my future, I have no choice but to step in. I'm trusting the plot armor on this one. I believe you won't let the characters act out of character. Gathering her courage, Viola began walking forward. Watching from behind, Hickson and Toon were startled by Viola's sudden move. Medea sensed Viola's movement as well. Viola, what are you doing? Don't be reckless, Medea thought. If she retracted her sword aura now, she would lose the duel. She couldn't tolerate such an outcome. But if she didn't retract it, Viola would be... Medea's heart was torn with extreme conflict. Fortunately, right at that moment, Cheka exposed a flaw and was struck in the chest by Medea's mana. According to the original plot, this was the moment Medea should have charged forward to decide the match. Yet, Medea did not do so. I clearly left myself open just now. Why didn't you strike? Cheka was baffled. This was not like Medea at all. Because you yielded first, did you not? Medea answered. Hurricane Sword, thank you for looking out for my younger sister. I am the true loser of this sparring match. Medea's tone was incredibly sincere. By this time, Viola had walked over and stopped beside Medea. Hiding the panic in her heart, Viola gave Cheka a deeply formal bow. Cheka, thank you for putting away your sword aura. Lady Viola, you were far too reckless, Cheka said, clutching his chest and panting heavily. If I hadn't retracted my sword aura, you would have been severely injured. Viola straightened up and looked Cheka directly in the eyes. The reason I did that is because I believed in your compassion as a father. Seeing that Cheka didn't respond, Viola smiled and continued. From what I understand, you have a son around my age. Therefore, I felt certain that you would not strike me down. Cheka sheathed his sword and offered a rather cynical remark. You've got quite the nerve, don't you? Ignoring the mockery, Viola formally introduced herself to Cheka. I am Viola, the White Balatu. Afterward, Viola and her group were escorted to the guest quarters of the Hurricane Fortress. Still feeling a lingering fear, Medea spoke to Viola. Cheka was right. You were far too reckless just now. Why would you do such a thing? Viola replied with a face full of confidence. It wasn't reckless. I was certain that neither you nor Cheka would allow me to get hurt. Why? Medea didn't understand. It was beyond a doubt that she couldn't bear to see Viola hurt, but how could anyone guarantee that Cheka would feel the same? Seeing me would surely make Cheka think of his own child. And as for you, sister, you clearly care more about me than you do about winning, Viola explained. Medea stared into Viola's eyes for a long time. From Viola's gaze, she drew the conclusion that Viola was speaking entirely from the heart. Which means you didn't just act rashly. Instead, you utilized the brilliant intellect of the White Balatu and approached us with a specific goal in mind, Medea continued. That is correct, Viola answered truthfully. Then what is your ultimate goal? Medea remained confused. I want to resolve this issue without having to kill Cheka. Viola revealed her true thoughts. Medea tilted her head. Killing Cheka is my mission. Viola replied. I received a special mission as well, and I even had father sign his approval. Don't you think this method is much more efficient and logical than killing Cheka? Viola explained further. If there is no one left to defend against the barbarian canyon, the Empire will likely request assistance from Winter City. If that happens, our strategic focus will be scattered and weakened. I have absolutely no intention of interfering with your mission. Viola's tone grew more earnest. But it's not like you can assassinate him immediately anyway. After all, you still have to wait for the right moment, don't you? In short, I am going to have a talk with Cheka first. I am the companion dog by my master's side. Let me serve my master, Toon said, holding a blanket. Let me do it. After all, I am the lady's exclusive butler, Jenin said with a smile, grabbing the other corner of the blanket. Watching the two of them playing tug-of-war with the blanket, Viola felt incredibly exasperated. I can cover myself. Jenon continued to smile brightly. My lady, every night at 3:23 a.m. you habitually kick your blankets off. I have always been the one serving you. Furthermore, I give my absolute all just to make sure you don't catch a cold and get an upset stomach. So I hope you will grant me this honor and allow me to stay by your side to assist you. Toon, standing nearby, was extremely displeased and interrupted him. Why are you unwilling to yield the privileges you hold to me? Wouldn't it be far stranger to just hand over my privileges to you? Isn't temporarily giving up the privileges you normally enjoy to someone else also a duty of the privileged class? Toon, I do not recognize that kind of duty. The two of them bickered endlessly, completely wearing down the very last shred of Viola's patience. Both of you, get out! With that loud shout, the arguing in her ears finally ceased. Early the next morning, Viola and Hickson headed out together to the training grounds of the Hurricane Fortress. Shouts echoed one after another from a short distance away. It was the soldiers of the Hurricane Fortress undergoing their morning training. Watching them, Viola couldn't help but marvel. I heard they have to be out here training starting at 4 a.m. They are so diligent. Good morning. A greeting sounded near her ear. It was Cheka, holding a cloth and wiping his sweat. Lady Viola, you are up remarkably early. Good morning, Cheka. I heard that the Hurricane Knights are incredibly brave in battle, so I wanted to come and witness it for myself. Viola politely stated her intentions. After greeting Viola, Cheka reached out a hand to greet Hickson. Hello, Hickson. Things happened so suddenly yesterday that I didn't get a chance to properly say hello to you. Hickson shook his hand and laughed. Well, our relationship was only ever average anyway. I assume you don't mind. I heard you had become a cripple, but you don't seem to have any issues at all, Cheka teased. Ah, that's all thanks to her. Hickson pointed at Viola. Cheka followed Hickson's gesture and stared intensely at Viola, a hint of interrogation in his eyes. Lady Viola, your true purpose here isn't just to observe the Hurricane Knights, is it? What business do you have with me? And what did Hickson mean just now? Viola didn't answer directly. Instead, she asked, Cheka, do you know what kind of trauma Uncle Hickson has been through? Yes, I am deeply sorry about what happened to him. And what about you, Cheka? Didn't your son also disappear? Viola openly revealed the information that was considered a top secret in the novel. Cheka's expression changed instantly. I have no idea what you're talking about. Viola ignored his denial and continued. You should know perfectly well that your situation is very similar to Uncle Hickson's. Besides, things like this have been happening frequently across the continent lately. Powerful people having their beloved family members kidnapped, leaving absolutely zero evidence behind. I want to help Uncle Hickson get his revenge, and I am working hard to prove my qualifications as the White Balatu. So I want to offer you my help. Cheka, I'll take over the explanation from here, Hickson said. Someone set a clever trap for me, waiting for the perfect moment to kidnap my family. Throughout the entire process, they didn't leave a single trace. Later on, because I couldn't find a single clue, I fell into a deep depression. And your son was also kidnapped, which caused you to lose your reason and attack Winter City. Simply put, both you and I were inexplicably bewitched. While I don't know the exact details yet, we were most likely put under some kind of magic. Put under magic? Cheka was thoroughly shocked. Viola continued the explanation. It is most likely an illusion or hypnotic magic that manipulates the human mind. It warps love into fear, causing people to lose their rationality. Because you couldn't think straight, you chose to compromise after being threatened. Seeing that Cheka still looked skeptical, Viola added, I know it's hard for you to believe right now, but this is the result of a 3-year investigation. Viola took 2 steps forward and patted her chest. I am set to enter high society at the age of 12. My goal is to become the sharpest blade in all of society, so I've been constantly investigating all potential competitors. The heir to the Hurricane Sword, Jeremy, was also among those I looked into. Not only that, but I have a very close relationship with the Terra Merchant Guild, who frequently visits the Hurricane Fortress. Through them, I used every method at my disposal to keep a close eye on Jeremy's every move. The security at the Hurricane Fortress is airtight. How could you possibly do that? Cheka was still doubtful. If I can keep a close eye on young Master Jeremy, then someone else could just as easily use all available methods to kidnap him. Viola's response left Cheka momentarily speechless. Such meticulous reasoning certainly did not seem like the workings of a 10-year-old child. It was a long while before Cheka finally rubbed his forehead and forced a bitter smile. Lady Viola, hearing you say all this makes me feel as if my mind has suddenly cleared. I felt like I just woke up from a dream, as if the fog in my head has completely lifted. Did you experience that too? Hickson chimed in with a laugh. Yeah, me too. Cheka nodded. Viola looked at them with deep gratification. Since I've helped them break this deadlock, I probably won't need to worry about what happens next. Later, Cheka specifically sought out Medea and spoke to her with grave sincerity. I intend to personally write a letter of apology to Duke Heron, the Lord of Winter. However, making a public apology will have to wait a little while. Please give me some time. Cheka's sudden change in attitude caught Medea slightly off guard, but she responded with impeccable manners. While I do not entirely understand your intentions, if you write a letter, I can pass it on to my father for you. Thank you. Cheka's tone was genuinely earnest. Medea glanced at Viola, who was standing to the side. Viola looked completely unfazed, as if she had expected this outcome all along. How did she do it? Medea's curiosity grew. I am incredibly sorry. It seems my mind was bewitched by something previously. I am truly too ashamed to face you all. Cheka bowed his head deeply. It just proves how deeply you love your son. You don't need to feel embarrassed about that. Viola comforted him. Is that so? Cheka lifted his head. Yes, I think it makes you look really cool. Those words came straight from Viola's heart. In fact, she even felt a bit envious because she could see that Cheka truly loved Jeremy. Thank you for comforting me, Lady Viola. Cheka stood up, walked over to Viola, and knelt on one knee so they were at eye level. I look forward to the day you turn 12 and grow into the sharpest blade of them all. Medea brought Cheka's letter back. I will definitely rescue my son, so please grant me a little more time. I promise it will not be long. Heron read the letter expressionlessly, a sneer rising in his heart. Humph. So he came to condemn Winter City simply because his son was kidnapped? Was he always this impulsive and foolish? Heron continued reading. Cheka had also written, Lady Viola seems quite interested in Jeremy. In another 2 years, Lady Viola will formally debut in society. Before then, I would like to introduce Jeremy to her. What are your thoughts on this? I believe the two of them could forge a very friendly relationship. Instantly, Heron's brow furrowed. The letter in his hand was crushed into a ball and tossed onto the floor. A month later, Cheka published a deeply heartfelt public apology. He was ridiculed by many for it, but the incident quickly blew over. Jeremy returned safely to the Hurricane Fortress. Following that, he and Cheka appeared together at the Barbarian Canyon, fighting valiantly against the monsters, which dramatically boosted their reputation. Time flew by and 2 years passed in the blink of an eye. Viola was now 12 years old. Tap, 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 tap. Early one morning, a carrier pigeon pecked at Viola's window. What's that noise? Hearing the sound, a confused Viola quickly got up to check. Tap, 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 tap. The sound grew louder. When Viola opened the window, she saw it was a carrier pigeon. Seeing Viola, the pigeon hopped onto her finger, revealing a small rolled-up note tied to its leg. Viola unrolled the paper. There was only one brief sentence written on it. I will come find you very soon. This left Viola even more baffled. Who could this be? No one would be crazy enough to try an assassination inside Winter City. It's stamped with the seal of the Hurricane Fortress. Jenin appeared out of nowhere, solving her mystery. Did someone from the Hurricane Fortress send me this note? In all likelihood, yes. Why would they send me a note like this? Viola still didn't get it. Because you are 12 now and you've grown even more beautiful and captivating than before, Jenin flattered. If you ask me, this is likely a little trick played by the young master of the Hurricane Fortress, Jeremy Parler. He is the son of Cheka, the leader of the fortress, and just like Toon, he is 17 years old. He is also currently the most talked about person in high society. Rumor has it that his handsome face leaves everyone in awe. There are even countless rumors saying he's the incarnation of a beautiful dragon. Even with all that praise, he has never formally attended any high society events. Viola pondered this internally. But why would he suddenly send me a note? Looking at the paper in her hand, Viola felt even more puzzled. A few days later, the impending arrival of the Hurricane Fortress envoy in Winter City became the hottest topic in town. The local girls were thrilled. Did you hear? The Hurricane Fortress is sending an official delegation this time, and young Master Jeremy is coming too. Really? You mean the little hurricane, young Master Jeremy? One girl asked. Another girl immediately corrected her. Who calls the young master that? Only the brutes who love fighting call him that. You should address him as the beautiful young Master Jeremy. Meanwhile, a devastatingly handsome young man was looking at a long line outside a shop, marveling. So this must be Azulegia, The line is huge. This handsome young man was none other than Jeremy Parler. Before stepping into the line, the young man made sure to apply a magical disguise. As he stood in line, he overheard people chatting. First time here? The egg tarts they sell are absolutely amazing. Oh wow, I heard Lady Viola loves them too. Hearing Viola's name, Jeremy couldn't resist chiming in. Excuse me, do you happen to know much about Lady Viola Balatu? The person chatting nodded. Of course. She is incredibly famous here in Winter City. Another person eyed the sword at Jeremy's waist and joked, "Oh ho, looks like you're aiming to be a squire." Jeremy laughed. Could you tell me a bit about her? And just like that, the group ended up talking for over an hour. By then, it was their turn in line. Jeremy watched the two people walk inside, summarizing everything he had just heard. So, Lady Viola slaughtered a pack of demonic boars, and to celebrate the victory, she drank their fresh blood. She even earned the nicknames Iron-Blooded Princess and Incarnation of Murder in Winter City. How fascinating. What exactly do you have to do to inspire rumors like that? The demonic boars they mentioned? Are they talking about saber-toothed boars, the special breed that only a level 7 knight can defeat? She was only a 10-year-old child at the time. Incredible. I can't wait to meet her. From what I've heard, she has purple hair. However, when Jeremy actually saw Viola, he completely failed to recognize her. Viola was thoroughly engrossed in savoring the fresh-out-of-the-oven egg tarts. So good. Beside her, Toon pushed his own portion of tarts toward Viola. Master, you can have mine too. I don't like sweets. Viola's eyes instantly lit up, and she quickly grabbed one and shoved it into her mouth. They really are best eaten hot. At the same time, she couldn't help but complain. It's such a shame this place only lets you buy 2 per person. Excuse me, sorry to intrude. Jeremy spoke up. I couldn't find an empty seat. Enjoying her tart, Viola looked toward the voice. The sword at Jeremy's waist immediately caught her eye. That blue ribbon! Is it? This looks like a table for 4. Would it be all right if I share the table with you? Jeremy asked very politely. Viola closely examined the young man in front of her. Could he be Jeremy Parler? I heard he was coming to Winter City. Is he in disguise? No! Toon glared hostilely at the uninvited guest. Why not? Jeremy was confused. Because I don't know you. I can give you one of my egg tarts as a trade. Jeremy offered a highly tempting compromise. Hearing this, Viola's eyes lit up instantly. Even so, no. Toon was about to reject him again, but Viola cut him off. Have a seat, thank you. Jeremy stepped forward and placed his egg tarts on the table. Only after he sat down did Viola ask, You want to be a squire? Jeremy nodded. Yes, I am training hard with that goal in mind. That answer instantly put Toon on high alert. You claim you want to be a squire, Toon said, pulling out a dagger and pressing it against Jeremy's leg. You're hiding your true strength. What exactly are you plotting? I'm not plotting anything, Jeremy tried to explain, but Viola interrupted him before he could finish. It's fine. He is my guest. A guest? Toon was confused. Yes, Viola nodded. You can put the dagger away. Are you planning to resort to violence inside Winter City? Jeremy hadn't expected his cover to be blown so quickly. My, lady, have you already seen through my identity? You have a blue ribbon tied to your sword hilt, the symbol of the hurricane sword. Did you really expect me to pretend I didn't recognize you? Viola sneered. Although she didn't want anything to do with Jeremy, since she couldn't avoid him, she figured it was better to expose him right from the start, exchange a few words, and leave. Viola stuffed the rest of the egg tart into her mouth. I'm done eating. She pushed her chair back and stood up. Please come find me as your true self next time. I will be taking my leave now, young master. Jeremy stayed seated without moving. So Viola isn't quite what the legends say, is she? Was I too biased, imagining her as some sort of witch? She is far cuter than I imagined, but that makes her a bit dangerous. Because if she's too cute, I'll be tempted to treat her a little too well. With that thought, Jeremy picked up an egg tart and took a bite. The delicious flavor instantly brought a bright smile to his face. Wow, that's really good. Just as Jeremy was savoring his treat, a deafening argument erupted nearby. I am the son of a viscount. Making me wait this long is bad enough, but how dare you only sell me 2? The noise immediately grabbed Jeremy's attention. A young man dressed like a wealthy noble was screaming in rage. You really don't know your place, do you, Baker? You're just a commoner. So what if your skills are a bit better than average? Do you actually think you're some big shot? The owner looked at the furious Jeldon and replied evenly, Young master, I strongly advise against throwing a tantrum here. Their exchange piqued Jeremy's curiosity. Oh? A commoner talking back to a noble like that? Looks like he's got some serious backing. This is a favorite spot of the iron-blooded princess. Even when the lady herself visits, she still waits in line and only buys 2. If I sold you more than 2, it would be equivalent to showing disrespect to the lady, the owner stated, neither humble nor arrogant. The owner's answer only enraged Jeldon further. You have got a lot of nerve. You piece of trash, how dare you threaten me? The owner explained once more. I am not threatening you. I simply ask for your understanding. Shut your mouth. You'd better watch your back walking home tonight. I'll leave you dead in the street. Watching the endless argument, Jeremy stood up. Maybe I should use this opportunity to score some points with her. Don't think I'm going to let you off easy, you. Young master, I think you've said quite enough. Jeremy's voice cut through the shouting. Did something happen? Viola, who hadn't walked far from the shop, heard the commotion and turned back to see what was going on. A powerful wave of mana swelled inside the bakery, making both Viola and Toon's eyes widen. Toon, go open the door, Viola ordered urgently. Yes! Toon sprinted back toward Azalegia at top speed. He pulled the door open just a crack. Peering inside, Viola couldn't help but frown. That aura. In the very next second, the broken half of a blade flew right past Viola's face. The sheer speed of it made her eyes widen even further. Inside, Jeremy stood with his sword drawn, pointing it straight at Jeldon's guard. The guard was left holding nothing but the severed hilt of his weapon, seemingly unable to process what had happened in that split second. Viola couldn't help but be impressed. His draw is so clean and precise, and incredibly fast. Toon, did you see Jeremy's draw just now? Viola asked. I did. Toon nodded. What did you think? Even though he really didn't want to admit it, Toon answered honestly. I think he might be faster than me. Faster than Toon? Viola stared at Jeremy's back. He really is too dangerous. I should definitely keep my distance from him. Seeing his side lose, a deeply frustrated Jeldon stormed out. They actually humiliated me in front of commoners. I am not going to let that guy or the owner of this place get away with this, Jeldon muttered viciously. Unlike the noble's foul mood, Jeremy's heart was blooming with joy. Heh, I'm actually pretty satisfied with my performance just now. Lady Viola saw me draw my sword. That should definitely win me some favor, right? Later that night, Jeldon and his guard returned to Azalegia. Are you sure this is the right place? Yes. Smash the door in. At Jeldon's command, the glass windows of Azalegia's storefront were shattered into pieces. Do these commoners in Winter City have any brains? Building a courtyard like this? Anyone who didn't know better would think this was a noble's estate. No wonder he was acting so arrogant, Jeldon complained as he walked inside. You're acting pretty arrogant yourself. A voice stopped the two men in their tracks. And what the hell are you supposed to be? Jeldon asked, looking at Toon, who was sitting on the steps. Me? Toon fired back. I am a mercenary who dreams of becoming a companion dog. As he said those words, Toon seemed to practically glow with pride. Why are you here? Toon stood up and asked. Jeldon grew even more irritated. A mere mercenary. You truly lack any manners. Couldn't the same be said of you? Toon mocked. That one sentence completely set the young noble off. Since you're so eager to die, I'll send you straight to the afterlife along with the rest of them, Jeldon snarled. You're going to kill me? We are inside Winter City, you know. Toon's emotions barely shifted, his tone as icy as ever. Like I give a shit. What are you standing around for? Knock him out! Jeldon yelled, absolutely furious. Following the order, the guard swiftly drew his sword. As long as we drag him outside Winter City, we can kill him. Toon drew his own sword without batting an eye and blocked the guard's strike. In a flash of lightning speed, the guard's sword was once again sliced cleanly in half. The blinding speed left both the guard and Jeldon frozen in place. You're the ones who said you were going to kill me first. This is just self-defense. Toon thrust his sword, stabbing the guard right in the thigh. Terrified by Toon's overwhelming presence, the guard clutched his broken hilt and started to back away. Thud, thud, crash. Toon looked down at the two men now lying on the ground. To think you dared to lay a hand on my master's favorite restaurant. Idiots. Toon sheathed his sword. At that moment, the doors of Azalegia opened and the owner stepped out. He placed his left hand over his heart and spoke with deep gratitude. Thank you. I truly don't know how I can ever repay you. I want 10 egg tarts baked personally by you at home, not the ones you sell in the shop. Toon wasn't shy about stating his price. As long as the lady gets to eat my egg tarts and is satisfied, the owner responded immediately. Even if the lady wanted 100, I would gladly bake them for her. I am truly deeply grateful to you. Hearing the owner's promise, Toon remembered the look of absolute joy on Viola's face when she ate the tarts, and he couldn't help but feel happy too. Please make sure they taste good. You can count on me. As soon as the sun came up, Viola saw the 10 egg tarts Toon had brought back. She was instantly overjoyed. I heard these are a special batch baked personally by the owner. Judging by how they look, they seem even better than the ones in the shop. With that thought, Viola quickly picked one up. Toon, you sit down too. Surprisingly, Toon firmly refused her. As a dog, how could I possibly sit at the table with my master? That sentence immediately annoyed Viola. Her expression darkened as she said, standing up there and looking down at me makes me incredibly uncomfortable. Sit. Seeing Viola upset, Toon quickly dropped to his knees. I'm sorry. Toon's reaction left Viola even more exasperated. No, I meant sit on the sofa. You kneeling like that just makes it worse. The way he is so relentlessly stubborn about the weirdest things is exactly like Hanjun, Viola thought, stealing a glance at the kneeling Toon. Why is it that the longer we spend together, the more his behavior reminds me of my brother? Thinking this, Viola picked up an egg tart. I remember my brother loved sweets too. Do you want one as well? The sudden question surprised Toon slightly. However, he quickly refused her once again. As a dog, how could I share food with my master? Just being by your side brings me happiness and joy. Don't you like sweet things? Viola pressed on. No, I hate sweets, Toon answered with absolute certainty. Liar. Then why did he just swallow his spit? And his nose has been twitching, sniffing the air this whole time. Is that so? Viola asked once more. Yes. I despise sweet food. Toon was utterly resolute. I don't like dogs that lie. Viola's words struck fear into Toon, and he visibly flinched. Viola didn't push the matter further. Instead, she picked up a tart and stood up. Toon, open. As she spoke, Viola shoved the egg tart right into Toon's mouth. Thank you, Toon mumbled incoherently as he chewed. Viola stood up straight. From now on, when you're in front of me, you will speak your mind directly. Yes. So this is what egg tarts taste like. They're amazing, Toon thought, carefully savoring the delicious flavor. Toon, you must remember that you are a dog. Do you know what the difference between a human and a dog is? Viola asked after Toon finished eating. Toon shook his head. Please enlighten me, master. I will engrave it in my heart. Humans need to think deeply about things. A dog shouldn't overthink. Whether you like something or hate it, whether you're happy or not, just tell me straight. Because you are a dog. You're just a dog, why overcomplicate things? Those words struck Toon with a profound impact. A dog is a dog. A dog cannot pretend to be human. Master is right. I will show her that I can change, Toon resolved inwardly. The next day, Toon came in carrying a vase of flowers. Master, I wanted to give you these flowers. I remember you staring intently at this type of flower blooming by the side of the road. Viola looked at the flowers. It was a marguerite daisy. Toon, do you know what the language of this flower is? Jenon asked. No idea. Toon's answer was entirely blunt. Viola stared at the marguerite daisies and murmured, it means true love and a prophecy or a revealed secret. Hanjun gave me this kind of flower once, so I've always kept it perfectly in my memory. Here, as long as you carry these, good luck will come your way. That's what Hanjun said when he gave them to me. He didn't even know what the flower was called back then either. Toon, why on earth do you take such good care of me? Viola gripped the vase a little tighter. You're not Hanjun, why? That vase looks like it's been specially treated with magic. Something like that must be very expensive, right? Janan observed. I saved up all the wages the Bellatu family has given me over the past 3 years. That's what I used to buy it, Toon explained. Why didn't you spend the money you worked so hard to save over 3 years on weapons or armor? Viola's voice took on a sharper edge. Toon was startled by her tone and flinched slightly. As a dog, you need to sharpen your fangs like a dog, Viola constantly reminded herself internally. Viola, you absolutely cannot let yourself waver. Yes, master, I will be mindful of that in the future. 2 days after the incident at Azuligia, Heron Balatu personally executed the eldest son of the Cyril Viscount family, Jeldon. Afterward, Jeldon's severed head was hung on the south gate of Winter City. Some nobles protested this action, but the commoners had the exact opposite reaction. They were deeply grateful to the Belatu dukedom for standing up for them and praised the family endlessly. Eventually, the rumors began to warp, turning into a story that Lady Viola's companion dog, Toon, had executed Jeldon on the spot. In corners of the world Viola knew nothing about, more and more people began to sing her praises. One night, Heron called Viola to his study. Viola watched Heron, who was constantly working through official documents, and wondered, why did he call me here just to ignore me? After a long silence, Heron finally spoke. Do you know why I called you here? How would I know? Viola felt exasperated. Forget it, I'll just ask him back and take control of the conversation. With that thought, Viola spoke up. Why did you kill the eldest son of the Cyril family? Because I thought it was a sight you would want to see. Heron's answer completely caught Viola off guard. Are you finally planning to make your move? Heron's face broke into a smile that looked slightly chilling. Viola didn't answer immediately. Her mind was racing. Heron completely misunderstood me. Judging by his answer, he must think I'm officially ready to compete for the position of heir. Frankly, I just wanted to scare Jeldon a little back then. But right now, I am facing Harren Balatu. I can't give him an answer like that. So Viola replied, "That's right. I wanted to serve a warning to everyone about what happens to those who challenge the authority of the Balatu family in Winter City. In the aftermath, the nobles will split into two factions, those who remain silent and those who loudly oppose the execution. We can use this as an opportunity to distinguish friend from foe." "Are you saying the ones remaining silent are our potential allies, while the loud objectors are our potential enemies?" Harren asked. "No, father." Viola shook her head. "I believe your method of handling this matter was indeed correct, though perhaps a bit inappropriate. I actually think the ones staying quiet right now are nothing but cowards, while those opposing it are a bunch of audacious lunatics. Neither side can truly be our allies. From start to finish, Winter City can only rely on itself. Rather than cowards, I prefer to take the lunatics under my wing." Viola smiled. "I plan to select individuals from the loudly opposing nobles, ones with clean backgrounds who have no ties to the Searle family, and make them my trusted subordinates." After Viola finished, Harren asked a crucial question. "You mean when the day comes that you become the ruler of the Balatu family?" "Yes," Viola nodded, though she was thinking to herself, "When that time comes, the ruler will be Sister Medea." "I've done some research on the Searle Viscount family." Viola continued her analysis. The Viscount and his wife doted on their child to an extreme degree. In the original novel, Jeldon was supposed to die by Pearson's sword. After losing their beloved son, the Searle family, knowing full well they couldn't win, launched a massive assault on Winter City anyway, and were ultimately annihilated. "Why would you actively seek your own destruction?" Harren had asked that very question back then. When an action is given meaning, even if it is a foolish one, a person will commit to it without hesitation. After Harren killed the Viscount, he was so moved by the man's courage that he poured massive amounts of money and military aid into the surviving Searle family without a second thought. However, the Viscountess, inspired by vengeance, named her unborn child Vengus. The seed of revenge was planted in their hearts. When Vengus grew up, he did not disappoint his mother's expectations. He became a tremendously powerful mage who fought against the Balatu dukedom. "I cannot let things play out like that," Viola resolved internally. "Since they loved their child so much, they will definitely retaliate. I believe they will most likely petition the Empire to arbitrate this matter. And the Empire, seeing no profit to be made, will ignore their request." Viola continued. "But the Searle family has the moral high ground, do they not?" Harren asked. "Jeldon was the one who broke the laws of Winter City first. And he also tried to take away your joy," Harren suddenly blurted out. Still mid-analysis, Viola was startled by Harren's words. "You like eating the egg tarts from that bakery, don't you?" Harren asked. "Yes, that's true. Anyway, based on my understanding, Viscount Searle will definitely attack Winter City." Viola steered the topic back on track. "Will he fight to the death?" Harren asked. "Yes," Viola was very certain. "Then let him die an honorable death by my hands," Harren said coldly. "No, father, please leave this matter to me. I will prove my capability as the White Balatu, just like I did at the Hurricane Fortress." Viola patted her chest confidently. "Please allow me to go to the Searle territory as a special envoy. I must stop Vengus from being born into this world." The rumors surrounding Viola intensified, eventually becoming completely distorted. Some people gasped in shock as they discussed the 12-year-old special envoy Winter City sent to the Searle family, claiming the child was a witch. Others said the child had slaughtered bandits at age 7 and eaten them alive. Later, rumors spread that she had drunk demon's blood at her welcoming banquet. If Viola herself heard these rumors, she would have been furious. However, these tales quickly spread across the entire continent. Despite her terrible reputation in the outside world, she was highly praised within Winter City for protecting its citizens. "That child is 12 years old this year, correct?" Emperor Narak asked. "Yes," Minister Selena replied. "When did you start keeping such a close eye on her?" "Ever since the Balatu family welcoming banquet 5 years ago. She made a grand entrance with an outstanding performance and was instantly recognized as a true member of the Balatu house. Later, she reaped massive profits from the Empire's development of the Golden Route," Selena explained, recounting Viola's notable exploits over the years. "Although it's highly likely that was a coincidence, I don't think it's quite that simple. After all, she utilized every method at her disposal to gather maximum funds, and then went all in on that one venture," Selena analyzed. "How can you use such an undignified phrase like all in?" Narak hurriedly interrupted her. "Well, it's just the two of us right now, so why bother being so formal and stuffy?" Selena said dismissively. She then sat down, tightly hugging Narak's arm, and spoke in a coquettish tone. You know perfectly well that I only show this side of myself in front of your majesty. Narak was slightly flustered by Selena's actions. Blushing, he stammered, Selena, aren't you still in the middle of giving a report? Selena flashed a devastatingly sweet smile. Is there a law in the Empire stating that a minister cannot hold your hand while delivering a report? Well, no. Narak was at a loss for words. Selena gently stroked Narak's hand, speaking softly. If you really don't like it, then you can just write it into law. You are the son of the Empire, after all. I didn't say I didn't like it. Narak grew even more flustered. Then, may I hold your hand while I report? Narak surrendered. Fine. It's so cute how you're stuttering, Selena teased. Narak's face flushed even deeper. Hurry up and report. That child's powers of observation and analysis are outstanding. She cleverly resolved the previous trouble with the Hurricane Fortress as well. Selena got back to business, sharing the intelligence she had gathered. Even young Master Jeremy, the famed beauty, seems to have taken an interest in Viola. By this point, Narak was practically steaming, heat radiating from his face. Your Majesty, are you listening to me? Selena tightened her grip on his arm. Narak jolted. Yes, I'm listening. I believe the key to this current incident lies in how Viola handles the conflict between the Balatu family and the Searle family, Selena concluded. Why? Narak didn't understand. I'm guessing that by the time Lady Viola arrives at the Searle territory, Viscount Searle will probably already be a corpse. Viola's reputation is already terrible. If her luck is bad, she might even end up becoming the prime suspect in the Viscount's murder. By now, Viola had fully prepared for her journey to the Searle family territory. My lady, you will have to ride for a long time across treacherous mountain paths to reach the Searle estate. Jenin was meticulously tying Viola's shoelaces. That is why I taught you to tie your laces like this, so they won't come undone, right? Jenon looked up at Viola with a hint of expectation in his eyes. I never learned any of that. You were just talking to yourself about it, Viola said, feeling a bit exasperated. I don't understand why you need to use mana just to tie shoelaces. Besides, I'm not very good at tying them anyway. This scene once again reminded Viola of Hanjun. Back then, he used to tease her for not knowing how to tie her shoes. Thinking of this, Viola said, Then why don't I just leave the shoelaces to you? Jenon looked incredulous. You want me to tie them? Yeah, I'll leave it all to you. That single sentence made Jenon beam as if bathed in a spring breeze. He was utterly overjoyed. By saying that, are you giving me permission to stay by your side forever? My lady, I will always be right here to tie your shoelaces for you. Looking at Jenon, Viola didn't know what to say for a moment. Is this really something worth getting so happy over? Let's head out then. Yes. Jenon carefully lifted Viola onto her horse. Sitting in the saddle, Viola gently patted the horse's neck. She wasn't feeling particularly great about the trip. Even though I've mostly gotten the hang of riding a horse, I still wish I could take a carriage. The mountain roads leading to the Searle territory are too rugged for carriages, but taking the main road would take a whole month. So I ultimately decided to ride across the mountain range. However, the problem is that you will highly likely face several attacks along the way, Jenon warned with deep concern. Viola nodded. Father's nickname is the Duke of Carnage, so he probably has countless enemies. Because of that, members of the Balatu family are exposed to danger from a young age. Overcoming that danger is also one of our tasks. No, I better take Uncle Hickson with me just in case. With that thought, Viola spoke up. Jenon, before we go... Viola was interrupted by a loud shout before she could finish. Viola! Clang! With a loud crash, Toon raised his sword, blocking an unseen strike right in front of Viola. He took a few steps back, looking thoroughly displeased. Tush, it's you again. Viola felt a chill of retrospective fear watching the scene, but kept her expression ice-cold as she said, If you want to kill me, you'll have to kill my dog first. The attacker ignored her words, skipping straight past the topic. Are you heading out right now? If I didn't have a mission of my own, I would have gone with you. It's already time for your mission, then I'm leaving. The attacker waved at Viola and sprinted away. Tap, tap, tap. Watching the attackers retreating back, Viola was confused. Why did they randomly show up to find me? 3 days into the journey, the group had already fended off several waves of attackers. The frequency of the attacks is higher than usual, Jenon noted. Hickson nodded in agreement. And they are all professionally trained fighters. Viola, did you make an enemy somewhere? Hickson asked. No, I didn't. Hickson's words sparked a thought in Viola's mind. A group of highly trained people keeps attacking me. It almost feels like they're trying to delay us. Wait, Viola suddenly realized. Their goal isn't to ambush us, it's to stall us. Maybe by the time we reach the Searle estate, they'll all be dead. What do you mean? Hickson couldn't quite follow Viola's leap in logic. Viola explained, there's a group of professionally trained fighters constantly slowing down our progress. They must be trying to manipulate our exact time of arrival. Who would do something like that? Toon asked. A faction that wants to see the Bellatu family isolated and without allies. And that faction is Hot Wind. They are the evil organization that once kidnapped Uncle Hickson's daughter and Jeremy. Because of those kidnappings, the Bellatu family and the Flair family almost turned on each other. And this time, they plan to drive a wedge between us and the Searle family. But the key issue is, can they perfectly execute a massacre of the entire Searle household right at that exact time? Logically, that's completely impossible. No one can silently wipe out that many people in just a minute or two. Janan instantly grasped Viola's meaning. It seems they're going to use a special method to ensure everyone is dead right on schedule. Exactly, Viola nodded. They are probably planning to use a time-delayed poison, meaning a lethal poison that suddenly kills the victim after a set amount of time. That's right, Viola continued to analyze. There are roughly 3 types of poison that leave no trace. 7 Shadowhorn poison, Hellfire toxin, and 3-day bliss poison. When did you learn so much about poisons? Hickson was somewhat surprised. I am the White Bellatu. Of course I study diligently, Viola replied. The poison used by Hot Wind is one of those 3. 7 Shadowhorn poison only works in cold regions or during winter, so it shouldn't be effective right now. Hellfire toxin is extremely rare and expensive. Buying enough to wipe out the Searle family would definitely leave a paper trail. So the poison they are using must be the 3-day bliss poison. Once infected, the victim becomes euphoric, their consciousness blurs, and 3 days later, they die peacefully in their sleep. Furthermore, this poison is easy to make, cheap, highly effective, and leaves almost no evidence. Hearing Viola's analysis, Hickson couldn't help but marvel, isn't that poison a little too perfect? Not exactly. Janan, do you know why? Viola asked. Yes, I know, Janan answered. Although it's highly effective and cheap, the antidote is incredibly simple to make. Because of that, it's often just used as a temporary incapacitating agent. Exactly. But right now, for the Searle family, it is a lethal threat. Because right now, they are busy preparing to receive a special envoy, Lady Bellatu. Not to mention, the Viscount and his wife just lost their beloved son, so their mental state is inevitably unstable. Therefore, aside from a few sharp-sensed servants and knights, Hot Wind must have poisoned everyone else. Then, right as we are about to arrive, they'll use blades to finish off the people who are losing their vitality. This method requires the least amount of time to execute the murders, making it the perfect way to meticulously time the frame-up. Hickson rubbed his chin thoughtfully. They want us to take the fall. Yes, Viola looked at Toon. Toon, I want you to run to the Searle estate by yourself right now without stopping. Upon receiving Viola's order, Toon dashed to the Searle estate at top speed. There should still be people unaffected by the poison in the Viscount's house. You must be careful around them. They are highly likely the ones who administered the poison. Toon recalled Viola's warning. Master is right. There seem to be about 8 of them. Then are there only half left? Guess I'll take one out right now. Just as Toon was about to launch himself forward, a sharp pain in his shoulder forced him to halt. Thud. The person attacking him suddenly dropped to their knees in front of him. So it was a trap? This is going to be a problem, Toon thought, clutching his stinging shoulder. Blood had already soaked half of his clothes. But I have to take out everyone here so things will be easier for Master. Huff, huff. I took them all out. By now, Toon was completely exhausted, panting heavily. I lost too much blood. I'm feeling dizzy. Looking at his own hands, Toon felt the world spinning around him. But even so, he forced himself to stagger forward. I have to complete the mission Master gave me. Creak. Toon pushed open a tightly shut door and swayed as he walked inside. Viscount! Toon called out. The person lying in bed flinched upon hearing the voice. Suddenly, the figure rolled over and roared, Who told you to come in here in the middle of the night? My apologies, Toon said between heavy breaths. I will take my leave. Toon turned and stumbled a few steps away. The person who had just been lying down now sat up, pulling out a razor-sharp dagger. Swish! The person suddenly leaped forward, driving the dagger straight toward Toon. In the very next second, Toon swiftly drew a concealed weapon, spun around, and fired it straight at the attacker's neck. Thud. With a flash of a blade, the person collapsed rigidly onto the floor. Just as Master predicted, Toon thought. Before they had even departed, Viola had already anticipated what would happen here. Toon, listen closely. If the person is truly Viscount Searle, he will get up to greet you. But if he is an imposter, he will cover his face and tell you to get the hell out. What you should do is agree, pretend to leave, and then launch a preemptive strike. Then, find the real Viscount Searle and tell him the truth. Remembering this, Toon delivered one final strike to eliminate any future trouble. Next, I need to find Viscount Searle. I hear voices over there. Toon's footsteps grew heavier, and his body swayed more violently. Finally, he stopped in front of a hidden room and used the last of his strength to smash the door open. The real Viscount Searle was locked inside, tied securely to a chair. Seeing Toon, panic flashed in his eyes. "The lady will arrive at the estate in a few hours," Toon said as he cut the ropes. "Please use lemon and vinegar." With every word he spoke, Toon's breathing grew heavier and his voice weaker, mixed with mid-grade or higher amino powder, in a 1:1:1 ratio, to make an antidote. "All of you have been poisoned." After delivering the instructions Viola had given him, Toon couldn't hold on any longer and collapsed heavily to the floor. Mission complete. I hope Master praises me when she gets here. A few hours later, Viola and her group finally arrived at the Searle estate. The sound of rushed footsteps echoed all around, and the thick stench of blood filled her nose. Viola felt a strong sense of foreboding. Toon isn't dead, is he? Despite having prepared for the worst, when Viola saw the pale, unconscious Toon, she stood frozen for a long time. It felt as though something inside her had violently collapsed. "Please hold on! Resuscitate him! Quickly, get him to emergency care! Make way!" The medical staff yelled loudly beside her. Who did this? Viola couldn't snap out of it. The scene before her brought back memories of the day of Hanjun's accident. Carrying this fury, Viola marched up to Viscount Searle and, in a fit of absolute rage, sliced off one of his ears. The air was instantly flooded with Viola's blood-red mana. "How dare you let my dog be reduced to this state?" "It wasn't me!" Viscount Searle cried out in pain, clutching his bleeding ear. "It was the assassins!" "Your companion dog was severely injured while fighting off the enemies," the Viscount explained. "It's my fault Toon got hurt. I never expected him to be injured this badly." Viola was consumed with guilt. "I'm sorry, this is all my fault." The hand holding the dagger trembled violently. "If my dog does not fully recover, I will bury the entire Searle family alongside him today." Viola spat out the vicious threat. While waiting, Viola sat in a chair without saying a word. Her expression was solemn and icy. "My lady, I am going to draft the report for the Duke now," Jenon said, pulling out a notebook. "All right," Viola responded absently. "The Viscount's ear should be fine, right?" Viola thought to herself. "Even though it can be healed instantly with magic, I still feel a little bad for him. I lost my temper because the situation reminded me of what happened that day. May I ask why you cut off the Viscount's ear?" Jenon looked at Viola and asked. Viola snapped back to reality. After a moment of silence, she said, "Why ask me that? You must have already anticipated that Toon would get hurt, and you knew the Viscount wasn't the one who injured him. So why did you insist on hurting the Viscount?" Even though he had his theories about her motives, Jenon couldn't help but ask. Feeling transparent, Viola grew annoyed. She replied in a frosty tone, "He caused me trouble. I was merely giving him a warning." That answer filled Jenon with absolute delight. "So it was a warning. I knew I guessed right. Because you saved his life, yet he disturbed the peace of Winter City. That is why you punished him." Jenon continued, "Is that what you really think?" Hickson, who had been quiet until now, finally spoke up. "Is it not?" Jenon countered. "Viola was angry because Toon got hurt." Hickson stated Viola's true feelings in the calmest tone possible. "She is known as the Iron-Blooded Princess. I thought she would be as composed and calculating as the rumors say. I like this kid." Hickson looked at Viola with a smile. "The lady is at her most rational when analyzing a situation," Jenon argued, clearly dissatisfied with the answer. "This is simply something you don't understand, Hickson. The lady meticulously calculated the scenario to maximize all practical benefits." Hearing this, Hickson felt a bit speechless. "Fine, whatever you say. Looks like Jenon hasn't noticed the anxiety in Viola's eyes. I understand her better than he does." Hickson felt a bit smug, knowing he understood the young girl better than the pretty boy did. "She needs to write a report, doesn't she? Since I promised to be a good elder to her, I should help her out. I can't let her mask slip." With that thought, Hickson spoke up. "Anyway, Viscount Searle must be racking his brain over Viola right now." Racking his brain? Jenon didn't understand. Viola performed two actions with completely contradictory meanings. Unless she has a split personality, it doesn't make any sense. Therefore, Searle will try to decipher her true intentions. "I'm guessing this is how he'll interpret her actions," Hickson laughed. "After I escorted them to the reception room, I prepared hot tea and pastries," reported Delpho. "How is your ear?" Delpho walked over to Viscount Searle. "The cut was exceptionally clean, so it will heal in a day." "I see." Was Lady Viola going out of her way to be considerate of you? Delpho asked. Most likely, Viscount Cyril chuckled. I didn't expect a 12-year-old girl to possess such skill. You rate her that highly? Delpho was surprised. Even the priests were shocked when they saw it. They said her current strength is on par with Lady Medea when she was young. No wonder she was sent as the special envoy. But why did she do that to you? She wanted to send me a message. A message? Viscount Cyril explained. She is currently a special envoy representing the Bellatu family's stance, so she was warning me not to act out of line. Yet, the human side of Viola Bellatu wanted to spare my feelings. Viscount Cyril leaned back in his chair. Isn't that a bit of a leap in logic? Delpho couldn't quite follow the Viscount's train of thought. Viola is famous for being the iron-blooded Bellatu, Viscount Cyril continued. Furthermore, she actively chose to become the White Bellatu. All of this must have been a rational plan formulated in her mind. She is probably delicately balancing her identity as a Bellatu with her own humanity, and slowly approaching me. Viscount Cyril hypothesized, because this is the optimal outcome she desires most. That night, Viola went to meet Viscount Cyril. What brings you here at this late hour? Viscount Cyril asked. You should have figured out my intentions by now. If you haven't, I will be deeply disappointed in you, Viscount Cyril, Viola stated bluntly. In her mind, however, she was thinking, honestly, I didn't have any grand scheme behind my actions. But after hearing what Uncle Hickson said, I realized what I needed to do. I am so grateful to him. I hear your companion dog will make a full recovery soon, Viscount Cyril smiled. Yes, so I've heard. Viola picked up a cookie. My ear will also heal in just a day or two, thanks to your clean cut. Though they were words of gratitude, Viscount Cyril's tone carried absolutely zero actual thankfulness. Everything is going exactly according to your plan, isn't it? Viscount Cyril narrowed his eyes at Viola. Viola snapped the cookie in half. If it wasn't, I wouldn't have needed to resort to violence back there. Just as I thought, Viscount Cyril said. If my guess is correct, you are dropping your title as Lady Bellatu and coming here to apologize to me personally, aren't you? Viola let out a cold laugh. Apologize? Seeing Viola's expression, Viscount Cyril flinched. Such an intense aura. It feels like she's going to drive a knife into my neck at any second. Thought you were a rational man, but it seems you still haven't grasped the reality of the situation, Viola said as she wiped her hands. Do you truly believe young Master Geldon's crime did not warrant death? Since it was merely an attempted crime, we could have easily spared his life. Then why did my father, knowing full well he would face public condemnation, bypass all official procedures and execute him immediately? Viola asked. Viscount Cyril clenched his fists. Was it because he offended the Bellatu dukedom? So you're saying that because a lowly Viscount's family dared to overstep their bounds, the Duke's family killed your son in a fit of rage? Is that it? Viola pressed on. Hearing this, the veins on Viscount Cyril's forehead bulged and he shouted, Is that not the truth? Of course not, Viola retorted. Then tell me, why was my son killed? I want the real reason. At the mention of Geldon, Viscount Cyril's entire demeanor grew dark. I have long since prepared myself for death. Even if this starts a war, I don't care. It's because, Viola answered, my father thinks very highly of you. What? Viscount Cyril bolted upright, a look of sheer disbelief on his face. He willingly took on the stigma of a tyrant just to protect your honor, Viola explained. How does killing my son protect my honor? Viscount Cyril still refused to believe her. Claiming he violated the laws of Winter City is nothing but an excuse, Viola stated. Janan! Viola clapped her hands. Yes, my lady. Janan stepped forward carrying a box. This is your son's blood. Based on the condition of his blood, he was already infected with dark magic, Viola revealed. If he had possessed even a shred of sanity, he would not have caused such a massive scene in Winter City. Viscount Cyril stared at the vial of blood, his eyes wide with shock. Dark magic caused madness and a ravenous pursuit of primal pleasure. While it granted immense magical power in exchange for sanity, if the host failed to control the mana, their body would explode. At that time, young Master Geldon could have detonated at any moment. Therefore, my father made his decision for 2 reasons. First, he needed to protect the citizens of Winter City from being killed by young Master Geldon, who had become a living biological bomb. Second, he needed to protect the honor of your family. That is why he condemned young Master Geldon to death. Viscount, what were you doing when your son was reduced to that state? Viola asked. Why did my father bear the stigma of a tyrant to protect your reputation? Let me ask you, was his choice wrong? Viola's words caused Viscount Cyril to bury his face in his hands in agony. His voice trembled as he spoke. No. Actually, I knew about it too, the Viscount confessed. He knew? Viola was slightly surprised. Then why was he putting on an act? As she wondered this, Viola's eyes fell upon a family portrait in the room. Everything suddenly clicked into place. I see. Viscount Searle wanted to be a father. That is why he betrayed his convictions as a noble and chose not to punish his son for dabbling in dark magic. I always wanted to be a reliable guardian for that child, to protect him like a great sheltering tree. Viscount Searle's whole body began to shake. But that desire was too strong, and it led me to make a terrible mistake. I am sorry. I am truly so sorry. Viola's feelings were complicated. Is it natural for parents to love their children? No, the Viscount's love was blinding. I don't want to dig into whether his love was right or wrong. With that thought, Viola spoke up. Although your methods were wrong, I cannot deny that your love for your son is noble. And young Master Jeldon trusted you just as deeply, which is why he dared to act so recklessly in Winter City. Viola stood up. While I cannot judge whether you are an excellent father, I do believe you are a father with a warm heart. Viola stopped in front of Viscount Searle and spoke with utmost solemnity. I, Viola Balatu, acting as the special envoy of the Balatu family, hereby declare that the Balatu dukedom will not pursue any further action against the Searle Viscount family, because your family has already suffered the most severe and agonizing punishment possible. Viscount Searle was stunned in disbelief. After a long moment, he slowly stood up and dropped to one knee before Viola. Seeing this, Viola leaned down and spoke in a gentle tone. I can understand the noble love you hold for your son as a father, and the choices you made because of it. That is why I am making this request to the Searle family. Can you find it in your heart to understand my father's position? Viola's tone carried a hint of pleading, entirely devoid of her previous dominance. He is the great ruler who governs Winter City, and the first shield that protects humanity from the invasions of the Blizzard Lands. Even though he is the head of the Balatu family, he is also a human being. He is a father to several children. Because of that, my father chose to protect the honor of the Viscount's family. Viola's words left Viscount Searle slightly astonished. Did the Duke say that himself? No, Viola shook her head. If those words had come from my father, your family's reputation would likely be in ruins by now. Everything I've told you is based on my own judgment of the situation. So what happens next is entirely up to you. If you accept my request, Balatu and Searle will forge a friendly relationship. If you refuse, we will become enemies, and the Searle family is free to declare war on us. But even if you choose war, we will continue to protect your family's honor. Viola's words brought Viscount Searle to tears. Drops of tears fell to the floor, pitter-patter. I am willing to understand your father, and I am willing to accept your request. Lady Viola Balatu, thank you for reopening my closed eyes, Viscount Searle said, his voice choking with emotion. And I sincerely thank you for calling me a father with a warm heart. 2 days later, Jenon spoke to Viola. I plan to use magical communication to give the Duke a brief update on the current situation. Once we return, I will formally submit the full report to him. Viola nodded, adding, You don't need to report every little detail to me. Just do your job. I have no objections. But I want to work hard and show you my worth, Jenon said. Puffed, Viola laughed. So, are you satisfied with my performance? How could I dare to evaluate you, my lady? Jenon replied. It's fine. Give me your assessment. Jenon recalled the scene from that night. You left no room for escape. You backed Viscount Searle into a corner, forcing him to accept Balatu's choice. After thinking for a moment, Jenon finally spoke. I don't think there could have possibly been a more perfect outcome.